Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Hope you all had a fantastic day one with insightful learnings and dynamics, engaging sessions from amazing speakers. Like now, I am excited and I hope you all are excited to begin the day too. It is going to start with a jam packed panel discussion with two amazing and interesting guests. The first panelist is Jim Corliss and he's the CEO of Fast Models. And the second is Nishan Shah. He's the CEO of Sports First. Jim has he's associated with Fast Model Sports. It is a platform powers coaches preparation across basketball and hockey, and soon to be into more sports, bringing together play, diagraphic analytics, strategic notes, and video for easy aggregation and communication to the team. Prior to joining Fast Models, Jim was at Stats, which everyone knows it is Stats Performance now, for many years working with data across all sports. We welcome you, Jim, to the panel.
Thanks, Amy. Happy to be here.
And the next panelist is Nishant. He's a seasoned technology leader with over 15 years of experience driving innovation and building impact high digital solutions. He is the co founder and the CEO of Sports First. Throughout his career, Nishant has played a key role in developing and scaling multi level, high growth technology products. He is deeply passionate about artificial intelligence and leveraging emerging technologies to build scalable, future ready solutions. We welcome you, Nishant, to the panel.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Today, they both would be discussing about the competitive edge of sports analytics in strategy and scouting features among the industry leaders and how data is winning in today's market. So let's begin. Jim, Nishant, over to you.
No, thank you so much. And yeah, let me share my screen.
Sure.
So I'll walk you through quick presentation in terms of perfect. To start with, I mean, let's just understand from very basics, right? So, what is sports data, right? I mean, whenever any match happens, whenever any practice match happens, lot of data is getting generated, right? So this here are some of the examples. I mean, there are performance data, which includes speed, distance, acceleration, and let's say lot many performance stats of an athlete. Then there are event data, right? So individual events like shots, tackles, passes, goals, etc. Then there is tracking data. There is biometric data. So biometric data like heart rate, let's say your oxygen level, your fitness level, and let's say other biometric data of an athlete. Then there is a scouting data. It includes all your players' stats, match history, video clips, and more, right? So this is some of it, and there are tons of other data which gets generated in each match, in each practice match, in the sessions, post the match as well. So let's say how this data is getting collected, right? So there are various ways to capture this data. So I'm trying to cover all the major data collection techniques here. So first is right now there are a lot of wearable devices, right? So from your Google Watch, Apple Watch, Fitbit to there are this specialized GPS trackers, smart jersey, smart heart rate monitors, and a lot of wearable devices are there, which is being used on daily basis. Second is optical tracking systems. So whenever a match is being recorded, it's being recorded at multi-angle cameras in the stadium, also in the practice matches as well, right? So all these videos are getting stored in the servers as a form of a raw data. Then IoT sensors are also very big, I would say, contributor to sporting data, right? So your smart balls, smart bats, smart boots, and a lot more IoTs are also coming up, and traditional manual data logging as well. So whenever a match is getting played, there are a lot of data loggers, right, which actually does the sports coding. They actually add the data manually into the database. So these are the major tactics of collecting the data. Moving on to, let's say, once you have data, how do you convert it into intelligence, right? So this is overall simple four-step process of how it works. So the first step is data aggregation, right? So once you collect the data, you need to aggregate it because it's at different places, right? So some data is stored into your database, some data is stored into your Apple Watch, Google Watch, right? So ultimately, you need to aggregate all this data. That's the first step. Second is once you have the data, you need to clean the data and structure the data because each data is labeled differently. Each data's data fields are different, right? So you need to clean it, you need to structure it well. And the third is the most important part, which is creating analytical models on the data, right? So once your data is structured, then you have to run and process analytical models on the data. Now there are three major type of analytical models, right? So one is descriptive, which explains you how the data is, right? So what is, let's say, what is the statistics of a player, right? So it's more of a descriptive model. Other is second is predictive. So let's say from your past data, from the heart rates of an athlete, it can predict that if he's going to face any injury in the future or if he's fit to play next match or not, right? So that is a predictive model. And third is prescriptive. So once a prediction is being made, then the model can prescribe that, if something is wrong, then how to fix it. Let's say if the team setting is not, or the team combination is not feeling right, then which player you should replace other player with, right? So this sort of predictions it can happen with the analytical models. And the last one is visualization, right? So once the model is giving you intelligence, you need to show it. So there are multiple tools like Power BI and other visualization tools, right, with which you can create dashboards, you can create charts and graphs, right, which converts this raw analytical data into visualizations. So this is the overall process, end-to-end process of how you generate intelligence from the data. So now, as we are discussing, the third step is most important step, right? Which is analytical models. So these are the, let's say, some of the dominant models. One is computer vision, right? So computer vision is something which is predominant in the sporting industry. So let's say from tracking the ball during the match to tracking the players, tracking the biomechanics, all this comes under the computer vision. Then there are this specific predictive models like injury predictions, opponent analysis. Then there are performance simulation models as well, right, which simulates the performances based on the data which is gathered. And right now, I think the most upcoming and cutting edge is a video analysis automation. So there are a lot of raw videos available, right? So there are models which is doing scouting based on the raw video as well as identifying the tactics and player stats and other aspects from the video. So another thing is also happening right now, which is generative AI models, right? Uh, so all other models which we've seen in the previous slide, right? So they are around since some time now. So machine learning is not new, AI is not new, right? But what have changed is generative AI. So with generative AI, it has given a lot of power to, let's say, I think it has democratized AI in a way, right? So earlier you need to have tons of data to train your own models, right? So you have to you have to have thousands of video clips to train a particular model. You have to have thousands of images to train a particular model. But with generative AI, what happened is with even small amount of data, you will able to create your own models because you are getting the foundation model already, right? So you can get it from OpenAI, you can get it from, let's say, Meta, you can get it from Google. And so there is a key difference which is happening right now. So earlier you had to train the models. Now you just need to fine tune the model with least amount of data and it will start giving you the results. So I think Jim will also able to explain this more, but this is what is happening right now in the industry, which is a paradigm shift and which is enabling, let's say, everyone to have their own personal AI as well. Here are some of the use cases which are, let's say, possible with the use cases which we have seen. So first is player performance optimization, right? So it requires two of the sets which we discussed. So one is variables. From the variables, it generates the raw data, and with AI prediction model, it can predict the injuries. It can suggest you the adjusted training patterns and other aspects. Second is game strategy as well. So once you have the uh, past games data, past match data, then from that it can create the real-time dashboards for you, newer tactics for you. and definitely it is being widely used in the scouting and recruitment particularly, right? So if you have a practice match data of let's say grassroots level athletes, from that it creates an intelligence and suggests you the best hidden talents as well to for the scouting and recruitment. I think these are the major use cases, but a lot more use cases are coming up. So, as we all say that data is new oil, and here is the reason why, right? Because the future belongs to the data-driven teams. So, yeah, thank you so much. Over to you, Ami.
Thank you, Nishant. Jim, let's listen to you now.
Mhm. Sure. Nishant, appreciate you laying all of that out. I took a bunch of notes and there's a just so many applicable things to chat about. It's an exciting time right now in sports technology, particularly for coaches because there's so much data out there. There's so much new data. I think you touched on the video automation and the tracking of the video through computer vision, through all the different cloud technologies. It's, the availability of video and data tagged to video is really just changing the way that coaches are able to prepare for all sports at all levels. It's not just the professionals that have access to this data and this video now, but it's also, all the way down to youth sport. And you see it growing really every day. And here at Fast Model Sports, we've got a platform that coaches use to power their preparation, and we really look at all of the the workflows that a coaches have. And you laid out the game strategy piece of it. There's the player recruitment piece of it. So you know, coaches are always focused on winning games and then acquiring players to help them win more games in the future. And the more data that there is helps them out. And not just kind of that really high level box score level data that you talked about with the event data, but also now with tracking data, like, does a player, how do they play in your system? And advanced teams can figure these things out. And so, our platform really helps. There's so much fragmented data out there. So when you talk about APIs and in the sports kind of ecosystem, again, you're getting your video through an API, you're getting your basic box score stuff through an API. Maybe you've got their Twitter feeds and things like that that you're always trying to pull together. And our platform really helps coaches aggregate, so pull all those things together, organize so that you're taking all your notes, you're looking at data, and now you can go recall those, and then ultimately communicate that information out to their coaching staff and to their players. And we've really found that we can save coaches if when you're preparing your information, if we're allowing them now to spend more time looking at the data and looking at the video and less time formatting and things like that, because we're just really trying to help them with automated processes and mapping things together so they can send those out. So when you talk about game strategy, and I'll kind of focus, basketball is kind of our lead sport and in our DNA at Fast Model. We've recently gone into hockey. We work with a lot of the NHL teams and moving on into other sports. But in basketball, where we work with, the majority of the NBA, the majority of the high level college teams, really the majority of all college teams, both men and women, as well as in the high school game. And so we kind of meet those coaches where they are with the amount of preparation that they're able to do with their staff. And that really is a huge difference. And so our platform allows you to kind of adjust to that. But when you're putting that information together, you've got to be able to tie that, here are situational stats with video, and here's the story essentially that you're telling your players about the opposition, right? This guy's all, he's very aggressive on, hitting the glass, after shots. He's a big rebounder. Like, you need to know your opponent to have success against your opponent. And really there's a lot of opportunity to help make sense of a lot of that data. So there's the game planning where you're pre-scouting. So a coach is going to sit there and watch video. They might go back and watch the previous team's 3 games. So it's very important that that data is tagged to the video so they can more easily find the things that they want to go look at, and then maybe tag them for later use, maybe take some notes and things like that, and then maybe they notice a play that the team is running, and we have play diagramming software so that the coach that's doing the pre-scout can actually go, kind of design out the plays that they may run so that your team is prepared for what they may see in the upcoming competition. So there's all these different elements that our platform will store for them, and you can go tag, and then we allow them to easily put those together for their scouting reports. And another thing, Nishant, that you talked about was kind of the generative AI. I mean, that's just been a godsend for being able to make sense of data, right? And I think you nailed it on the head that you can leverage all the different open AI type platforms that are out there today, or if you've got the staff to do it, you can go build your own models to make that even smarter. But really, out of the box, there's so many powerful things that if you pass data in and if you pass video in, you can have insights that are very easy to comprehend and understand and ultimately communicate. And I think that's going to be your biggest game changer. It's already hugely changing, the way that this content is consumed. But looking forward, the quickness in which it can be consumed, and the way that it can very easily be, even translated to different language or different levels of understanding and things like that. And it's just super powerful on that. On the player analysis side, when you talked about player recruitment, again, so much data comes into that. And then, just again, using basketball as an example, if you're a team, that's in Europe or in the EuroLeague and you're looking for players to acquire, you're looking not only at collegiate players in the States, but you're also looking at all of those different professional leagues, across Europe, across Asia, and Australia. Not every league is created differently. And so you need to take that data and not only look at someone who's scored a lot of points per game, but like, what would that mean in your league? If you play in the ACB, if you play in, Serie A, how does someone who played in maybe the B League in Japan, how does that translate, to your style of play or to your level of play? And data allows you to get there. And then there's a lot of models that have been created, companies like Cerebro Sports that'll go ahead and create these similarity scores and allow you to really compare if someone's playing in this league and this league, what type of player are they, what's their archetype, and would they be a good player in this other league? And you've got a lot of different platforms bringing that data together. And again, like a platform like Fast Model allows you to bring all of that data together to then present it maybe to your front office or your GM or your coach, as you're making different decisions on salaries and things like that. So just so much data, just so much data that's out there. It's more accurate today. It's more widely available today, especially through APIs. And just it's available more quickly as well. Video, to break down a video again with those models, um, you know, those are running in real time. Those are broken down after the game, as opposed to years ago when there was a lot of manual tagging and things like that to make sure that you get it right. And so it's exciting. It's exciting times. It creates a lot of opportunities, both for organizations to take advantage of more data, but also in the sports tech ecosystem to just continue to create additional platforms to take advantage of that, on behalf of the coaches.
Okay. So like I have a few questions for both of you. So I'll start with you, Nishant.
Sure.
Um, as mobile first platforms have transformed fans, coaches, and players into accessing the analytics. So how do you see this influencing the scouting decisions?
Yeah, I think so. As Jim also mentioned, right? So things are moving from let's say mobile first to AI first in a way. So I think uh, till now, I think AI is going to play a very big part in scouting as well because till now what was happening is uh, uh, the traditional machine learning models or the older era AI was able to give you data, but it was not able to take any decisions on top of it, right? Because it was lacking the, I would say, the generic abilities. But I think with generative AI right now, it is also going to not only understand how the players are performing in the practice matches, It will also able to segregate them. It will also able to score them. It will help the coaches a lot in terms of, let's say, going through hundreds of clips in, let's say, in hours, in a way, right? So I think that is how things are moving. So more and more of video-based AI analytics will come up, and that will not only help in scouting, but it will also help the players to, let's say, adopt to new ways of practicing. It will also give a lot of insights to the players to improve their matches, their let's say own I would say skills as well.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would add to that so many teams are recording all of their practices. They're wearing the vests to capture all of the biometric
Right.
information. And, with mobile, you're able to, break down that information and get it out to the coaches or get it back to the players. So as soon as they're done with practice, they've got instant feedback to take advantage of that's got a lot of things tied to it. And we've seen, especially over the last couple of years, like, with more and more video being available, our on our platform, that for the teams that use video, like they're using a lot of it. Hey, practice is over. We're shooting out video with some context out to the players and to the coaches. And when you're sending out the scout, it's not just reading information and saying, hey, we need to close out quickly, or we need to, play defense this way. They're also watching, three or four video clips along that. Maybe they've notated them and things like that. So it's all of it coming together, moving very fast, and getting delivered to where the players are and where the coaches are is, has been a huge change.
Okay. So like with the mobile apps as like delivering real time insights, how do you ensure that data is actionable and not overwhelming for the coaches and for the analyst? Jim, you can go first.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's the huge challenge. And going back when I was with Stats, and we were building out the SportView systems with our SportView team. So shout out to Gall Oz, Brian Kopp, and all the guys who kind of really broke ground in that world. And you know, the, we had a lot of operational challenges. It was pre-cloud, and it was pre-high speed internet, pre-fiber. So a lot of the things that we take for granted today, just didn't exist. So like, we had a lot of challenges on how to get the data out of the venue. But the other thing, we were creating all of these new stats and analytics, and kind of to your point of how is it not overwhelming? I think at that point, it was overwhelming, and one of the big challenges that we took on was how do we evangelize that this data can be used to help decision making. And you fast forward, and I can't believe now it's been over 10 years plus since that first rolled out, but now it's commonplace in how coaches think. And if you watch an NBA broadcast or a college broadcast, like they're citing those types of stats now, you know as part of the game, as part of the narrative to everyone. So I think part of it is it takes time for people to become comfortable with how to utilize those stats. I do think that you can go look at a stat, and if you take it too literal, you can misapply that. And so I think that, you got to give people options to kind of consume as much or as little. And that's why when you again, going back to kind of the power of kind of bringing all that data together through different, APIs and things like that, and tagging is, because maybe an analyst understands all of that stuff. A coach may understand how to implement it, but maybe not all the numbers. But then when you go get to the players, you don't want to confuse them. You don't want them to think too much. So you want to make sure you give them the right insights, because in the moment, you want it to be natural movement. So you're teaching and you're emphasizing, but you really want to distill it down, to those points there. But I think, generative AI and all of those types of things allows you to more concisely also tell that story. So it's advancing so quick with all of those technological insights.
Yeah, so very well summarized, Jim. So I would also like to add one more point in this is, let's say, better user interfaces. So what will happen is, as you have more data, and I mean, as you rightly said, right, it's mobile first approach. So in mobile first approach, the first, I would say, principle of UI UX design is don't overwhelm the users, right? So just make it simple. So there is I was just attending one design so this there was a design workshop, and it was pretty good workshop. And in that, I mean, the philosophy is how to give more of a bird view data first, right? I mean, let them see the summaries of it first. Let them see the analysis of the, let's say if we take example of a game, right? Just give them analysis of a match, right? And then let them just go manual into the granular levels in a way, give more control to the user, give more control to the coaches. So give them more of a holistic information first, and then let them dig in more deeper where they want to go. Because you rightly said, I mean, there is a lot of data and it gets very overwhelmed. But I think with better user interfaces and better UI, particularly UX is very, very big part of this, right? User experience, how to design systems in such a way which gives complete information, but still doesn't overwhelm the users, of course.
Okay. So like now I will, ask you a few questions related to AIs and APIs. Like the first is AI and mobile platforms allow automated scouting reports, as we know. So like, how do you ensure that machine generated insights align with human intuitions in the scouting domain?
Yeah, I think we kind of take a blended approach. We have a feature called fast intelligence. So basically, it's taking kind of that data and then kind of kicking out some insights and things like that that the coach can use as a scouting report. We've always been very careful not to force the AI onto the coaches because coaches do have their own philosophies and things like that from a scouting perspective. So we've done a lot of things from the UX perspective to kind of follow up on Nishant's point to kind of keep maybe AI insights off to the right in our scout assistant, and then that way they're able to look at those as they're creating their own scout. So it's more of like, okay, let's give you all these advanced insights that we're generating, kind of putting in AI generated format, but then allowing the coach to still take those and move them in, which still helps them a lot. When you compare that to here's a large table of statistical information and knowing like, well, okay, that player shoots 68%, but is that good or bad, right? And is that better than he was before, in the last 5 games or the last time he played that opponent? The AI is able to look at all that stuff super quickly and kind of pull that back into your way. And then, you take that to another step and you start to learn how teams communicate to their players or how a coach, will communicate things. And you can really start to say, hey, hey, engine, take what a coach says and use that as a model for how you're going to present that back. And we've had a lot of success with that too. And coaches have been, had high um, favorability towards that. Anything that can help them save time and kind of give them more insights, which is ultimately going to just help them prepare their team better.
Okay. So like, yeah, Nishant, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would just say that, just imagine this as a coach is getting a full-time data analyst, right? So earlier they had to have data analyst in the sports teams. I mean, they have to compile a lot of data, they have to analyze a lot of data, right? Just imagine now the coach is having power of a full-time data analyst with them. So coach is taking the decisions at end of day for sure, right? But then it's like he's having a very superior and intelligent data analyst anytime with him, right? So this is, I think, how I'm seeing it.
Okay. So like I want a few real world examples where AI has changed a team's strategy or the decision making. Like if both of you can share.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see a lot I mean, obviously our teams interact with the coaches that use our platform, and as we've rolled out our AI components of our platform over the last year, we've gotten a lot of really good feedback around like, oh my gosh, like I didn't, coaches have a feel for what's going on with their team and how they're doing, and this is validating those things, right? And so I think that we've gotten a lot of kind of exclamation point responses on certain things that we'll put in front of the coaches that we're generating out of our fast intelligence. So I think it's helping them see things quicker. to go dig into, and it's probably uncovering some things too that maybe they didn't see before, but it's helping them not only see those things but then also know where's the video to go watch it, and then they can go validate it there and then quickly get to the player. So again, it's just saving them time. Like maybe they don't have to watch an hour of film. Maybe this helps to guide this down to watching 10 minutes of film, and then they can go generate their report. So which just allows them more time with the player to coach and things like that. So the coaches have been super excited. And to Nishan's point about it's an analyst and things like that. We've had a lot of people that are like, well, hey, that's like my job. But like once they get comfortable with it, then they understand it's just helping them do their job to a higher level, helping them be more efficient. Does not give them all the answers to the test, but it just helps them be more efficient and opens up more time to do other things.
Correct. So yeah, so as Jim rightly said, right, that I think one major advancement which happened with this is real time. So that is one what I would want to emphasize more on, right? So I'll tell you. So we have a client, a pro team as a client, right? So their challenge was when a match was getting over, they wanted to do real-time analysis of a match, and when they're going back to the home city, right, in the flight itself, the coach wanted to give the let's say real-time analysis to the players in a way, because that's the base time, because it's very fresh in their memory, and it's much easier to communicate at that point of time, right? But as Jim said, right, so earlier, I mean, it was taking much longer time to analyze a particular match, right? It was not real time, but with particular AI and intelligence right now, it is so real time. So coaches also getting a lot of data points to talk about directly, right? And even to the players, I mean, they are also able to understand their game much better on the real time basis, right? So earlier it was T+2. So I mean, game was happening today and they will get data after 2 days. Right now it is very much real time in terms of deeper intelligence as well. So I think all major pro teams are already using this, but I'm pretty sure with the fast model and the other players like them are helping even the mid-level teams or even the grassroots teams as well to have power of AI and data intelligence.
Yeah, and a lot of the teams, they'll be sitting behind the bench and they'll be manually tagging what's going on in those games. And like you said, as soon as the game's over, you can send, if it's hockey, you can send the guys shifts. If it's basketball, you can send their shots. And yeah, they can have it on their mobile device by the time they hit the bus to get back to the airplane to go to the next game. And as compute gets faster, as data transmits faster, it's just going to be more and more advanced. Maybe the person doesn't have to do it manually, behind the bench, and it can be done with AI and things like that. But all of that is just helping speed up that process, make it more accurate, make it more accessible down market into the teams that maybe don't have the extra coach or support person to do all those things. So it's exciting times for all these teams.
True. So, like, as we are talking about data, I just want to understand, like, how can it safeguard and like what are the privacy policies and how can it be prevented, from data misuse? And how can APIs, like, there's massive amount of APIs, like, as the sensitive data. So how can it not be misused?
So that was my point anyways, right? So data security and privacy. So whenever, let's say, you have any open system, that becomes the first concern in terms of let's say securing the data. So there are definitely set practices in terms of that as well. So for example, any PII information has to be encrypted. Whenever any let's say critical information is going between one system to other system through APIs, right? There are set let's say parameters of securing the API as well. It restrict the on the go changing of the headers. There are a lot of set rules in the place, right? But definitely there are more challenges with. I think there is one much bigger challenge with generative AI is hallucination, right? So, I mean, you train AI with a particular data, but you still don't have full control over it, right? Because that's the drawback of generative AI. Then your traditional machine learning models, because your machine learning models will not be creative, but with generative AI it can be creative as well and it can have hallucinations. So I think it's one of the major challenge right now in the adoption as well, that how to make sure that the data security is there, plus the data sanity is maintained in terms of AI as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like any other vertical, security is a big thing, and obviously your scouting report is very personal and private, and so we take, great care with security on that side, and like Nishant said, it's you know we're always kind of looking at like what does this mean with when data goes into these open AI type models and things like that. And there's ways to do it locally versus in their cloud. And the type of data that we'll pass in is generally statistical data, so not anything that's private to any person. And so we're very careful in what we're kind of putting in to get out, and then we'll take that over to here where it's a different type of secure spot to integrate it. And I think that's obviously one of the, as people look at the training sets of all that, like, how will that evolve, and how comfortable are people with their data in there. But we definitely look at it from, okay, let's, the types of data that we allow to go into there, we're very mindful of that in our processes.
Okay, last question for both of you. Like, what's next in the API-driven sports analytics? Next 3 years.
Yeah,
Nishant,
I
you're
think
on.
no, thank you. So I think I'm seeing two things, right? So one is open systems. So still sports is not having that many open systems, right? Like less open sources, less open APIs in a way, right? So everything is very much black box in terms of implementation. So I am seeing that will change eventually, because everyone is understanding the importance of data, democratization of data, right? So I am strong believer of, data should be available for anyone and everyone to, let's say, create their own systems. But I'm seeing a lot many, let's say, teams are also opening up their data. A lot many leagues and let's say larger sporting companies are opening up their data. So I think the open systems are going to be prevalent in next 2 to 3 years, and definitely AI is something which is picking up in every industry. So that is going to be also very critical in sports as well.
Yeah, I would say, over the next 3 years, I think the AI component will be huge. So I think everything's going to continue to converge together. I think AI will be used to do more of the breakdown in an automated manner. But I think the bigger thing is going to be, how do you search that data and bring it together on the back end and making it easy and available for everyone. And I think it's just going to continue to get faster, more accurate, and provide experiences also down to where a youth team, a high school team, a university team is going to have the same experience that a professional team has. And it's really kind of democratizing, kind of that whole ecosystem. Whether it's wearables, whether it's advanced performance data, basic data, all the different video and everything. Like, there's just so much more and more that's becoming available for people to make those connections. And when you put that layer of the AI on top of it, just allows it's the access to it and the insights that's going to unlock. Like, it's going to be huge over the next 3 years. It's just going to be always available wherever you are, on your TV, on your phone. And so I'm excited to see it continue to come together and continue to grow.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Nishant, for an amazing panel discussion. I think it was an engaging conversation with both of you.
Thank
No,
you.
no, thank you so much. Thank you.
Up next, we have Dr. Prasanjit Nikam. It is my pleasure to introduce him. Dr. Prasanjit, an associate professor at Bharati Vidyapit, deemed to be University School of Physiotherapy, Sangli. Dr. Nikam has an extraordinary track record with 40 patents, 50 plus copyrights, and 15 plus research publications to his name. He has also authored 3 impactful books and holds several world records, including the most patents filed in a single day and in a year. With his expertise into musculoskeletal physiotherapy, Dr. Nikam has been a trailblazer in the field of intellectual property rights and innovative research. He was honored with the Young Achievement Award by the Indian Association of Physiotherapists and named one of the top 50 international distinguished young researchers. Today, Dr. Nikam would be sharing valuable insights on the topic of research into sports technology. Everyone, please join me in welcoming him into the session. We welcome you, Dr. Nikam.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, I'll take this opportunity to thank you for having me to share my views on this particular topic. Seeing the track record, I guess this is a very suitable platform for me to introduce sports physiotherapy and its advances, its connection with sports API technology. And let me take this chance to appreciate you, like you are doing a tremendous job by recognizing the trending topics and making all the other allied parameters, allied fields come together in this very good deal. So, hello everyone. Today I'll be speaking on the topic of sports research and various technologies in sports research. So, beginning with, as ma'am have introduced me, I belong from the field of sports physiotherapy. So, basically, sports physiotherapy is the foundation, you can say, of treating and enhancing athletic performance. Basically, APIs, sports, and sports technology are very much core of the sports physiotherapy field. In sports physiotherapy, what we basically do is we are dealing with athletic performance, enhancing athletic performance through rehabilitating them, giving them appropriate preventive as well as rehabilitative measures. And so basically, we try to enhance whatever the athlete is having at that particular point of time by using research, innovations, and technological advancements. Now, coming to what is sports physiotherapy. So basically, I'll be just telling you a brief introduction about my field. So sports physiotherapy is a specialized branch of physiotherapy that focuses upon the interventive part, treatment part, and rehabilitative part of sports persons. So whatever sports a person is playing, so what we do is we actually amplify his abilities so that he can excel in this particular field. He can give his best in this particular field. So how do we do it, or what is our aim is to help the athlete to recover from any injury, or if at all he's not having any injury. So we help to optimize his performance. So we have various strategies, we have various scientific measures through which we help that particular athlete to enhance his performance. So what are the various tools that we have? So I think many of you might know the various concepts known as manual therapy, exercise therapy. Then we have various modalities like we use taping. You all might be familiar with taping, cupping, because they are becoming very common, very famous in terms of general population nowadays. Not only athletes, but we as common people, we use these rehabilitative tools for various disorders, like for low back pain or like any muscle spasm, muscle injury also as well. So coming to what we focus upon is we treat various conditions like maybe muscle strain, very simple disorders like muscle strain, back pain, sprains, and complex things like overuse injuries as well. So the only common thing is being a medical field also, we are a lot more dependent upon the APIs. So we use the data, we use all the collective information to enhance our rehabilitative aspect as well. So coming to our role in a team. So as I said, it's never a one-man job whenever you are working in a team, whenever you're working in a sports setup, especially. So you need to contribute your self, and based on that, when you contribute your own and when it becomes a collective effort, then it leads to the overall enhancement in the field of sports physiotherapy. So coming to API, now many of you might be having this question that how this API and technology is related to sports physiotherapy. So application programming interface, as we all know, it consists of tools and protocols that allow different software applications to communicate with each other. So basically, whatever data and recordings we have, so how and in what way we are going to use it for the benefit of maybe therapy, maybe rehabilitation, etc. So just to give a simple example, how API is related to sports physiotherapy is the use of wearable devices like smartwatches we all have on a daily basis, rather on an hourly basis. It takes data from our body and it uses it to further benefit our lifestyle or our quality of life. So a very simple example is the wearable devices like smartwatches. Second, most important example of API in sports physiotherapy is the use of video analysis. So I guess many of you have heard about the term biomechanical analysis, especially in the field of cricket players, wherein each and every range of motion, like for every joint of our body, we analyze it, we have a detailed video analysis of it, and we tell the particular player that he needs to improve his elbow extension in order to improve his bowling performance, or he's a bit lacking in his lower limb range of motion. So he needs to enhance it so that the ultimate power will be transferred to his upper body and it will lead to improved performance. So that is second example of API incorporation in field of sports physiotherapy. That is video analysis. Third, biomechanical analysis. So various sensors and cameras are used to do a normal analysis of walking. For example, if a person is not from a sporting background, but he wants to know what exactly the problem is, why he's facing so much difficulties with his daily living, then we do a simple walking analysis of him using biomechanical principles like we put sensors on him and the video camera is on and we record his normal gait pattern and then we correlate with the standard pattern, like what improvement he needs to do or to which injuries he's very prone to get in the future. So it's very magical, like only by having a detailed analysis, we can tell a person that in future, with continuing this particular pattern, what injuries or what advances or what rather you can say disorders he might get in the future. So that is third part. Now coming to specific role of APIs in sports tech. So why we use APIs primarily is to connect different sporting technology systems, like for example, variables, various performance analysis tools, various rehab equipments, etc., to allow seamless data integration and analysis. So, besides giving a constant feedback about the user's various aspects or various parameters, it helps to enhance or it helps to improve the quality of life. Same principle we apply in sports physiotherapy as well, because sports physiotherapy is very much dependent upon the API and sports technologies. Because apart from the traditional research, what is going on in sports physiotherapy or overall physiotherapy, the tools, the outcome measures are very much limited. So we are very much dependent upon the APIs, the advanced smart pairs, the advanced rehab techniques. Well, this data not only helps us to gain future insight, but pairing it with engineering sector, pairing it with other allied sciences, it becomes very, you can say, useful in developing multidisciplinary approaches in rehab sector. So that is another advantage of APIs in sporting sector. Next, uh, I can say that I've been involved in research since past 5 to 6 years. So specifically in sports physiotherapy research. So I've come across various like interesting APIs, wherein you can say like one was Strava API, which I've heard. It's basically related to fitness tracking, like your heart rate, starting from heart rate, walking pace, running pace, etc., etc. The very fascinating thing which I found was it senses your activities as you are performing, and accordingly it starts recording all these things. Like for example, if you start running automatically, you don't have to feed in that you're going to run or you're running right now. It automatically senses the changes in your heart pace, your perspiration, your SpO2, and then it senses that you're running. So very fascinating thing that uh, how technology has evolved and how much conscious it has become in terms of lifestyle. Second thing which I heard or which I came across was the Catapult Sports API. So it's basically a widely used platform in professional sports for tracking real-time performance, for monitoring real-time performance and analyzing the same. So, like as much as it senses the fatigue level of your body as well, depending upon the lactic acid accumulation. So basically, whenever we do performance or whenever we do any sporting activity, what happens is lactic acid gets accumulated and our muscles get fatigued. So it senses the lactic acid accumulation. It gives an quantification that the muscle has been fatigued to this level, and you need to take a rest or you need to change your approach so that the lactic acid gets reverted back to its normal. So fatigue identification, fatigue like consciousness is what this thing tells you about. So a very fascinating thing. Third is something called as Whoop API. So now it collects data related to sleep. Uh, so what is your sleeping pattern, REM cycle, and all those things. It helps you to recover by redesigning your sleep cycle because sleep is something very important in case of for any athlete, for even normal people also, like those people who are not involved in sports as well. Because the amount of it has been proven that the amount of sleep you get has a direct impact on your muscle ability, your sporting performance, and all. So this is the level of which APIs are incorporated in normal sporting activity and fitness lifestyle. So coming to my topic, which is sports technology in research. So there are very branches, advanced branches in sports physiotherapy or sports medicine, which are emerging nowadays, which have their sole focus upon the incorporation of APIs in physiotherapeutic research. So first such thing is regenerative medicine. So I guess many of you people might be knowing what is regenerative medicine, like the use of stem cells, use of platelet-rich enzymes or platelet-rich plasma for healing properties, enhancing the healing properties, secondary to overuse injuries. Second is virtual reality. Now, virtual reality is very widely used nowadays in case of sports physiotherapy as well. Virtual reality, what we do is whenever we have to focus upon the pre-meditation or pre-competitive anxiety of sports person. So that's the part wherein virtual reality comes into play. So using virtual reality, what we do is we take basic data from the athlete related to what is his stress level or what is his way of various coping mechanisms, what is his primary ways of dealing with anxiety. We incorporate all those things, all those readings through API and transfer them into customized, tailor-made athletic relaxation techniques. So we use VR to facilitate meditation, to reduce his anxiety, to increase his sporting performance. So there is one thing called as visualization. Before any sporting activity, we give him VR. We ask him to visualize what he'll be doing in the future on field. So there are proven studies which tell that visualization helps to improve the performance actually on field as well. So that is second thing. Third thing is, as I've spoken before, also biomechanical analysis. So in biomechanical analysis, before we used to use 2D analysis. So now, thanks to the recent technologies and API interfaces, we have 3D analysis as well. Uh, Now, coming to like we have seen that APIs, what use we have in sporting sector, how they're beneficial and all. What is the exact use or how or what factors we use APIs in sports is first is for preventing injury or to predict the injuries in future. So just to give a small example, using the smartwatches, what we get about the SpO2 level or what amount your body is using oxygen and how much oxygen you are requiring at a specific point of time in your day. So based on that, we can tell in future that athlete that what particular sport he might go for or what particular sport he needs to avoid so that he doesn't land up in trouble. So that is the very first thing what we can do using APIs. Next, speaking about recent trends is AI and machine learning. Now, how AI and machine learning we are using in sports is uh, 4 to 5 applications on a trial basis or on a pilot basis we have used, and we are seeing that whether these AI tools or whether these free AI softwares they have any particular effect or they be replaced as a traditional conventional methods used in sporting technologies. So you people might have heard of something software called as Calm.ai, which is a free app available. So it basically focuses upon giving you soothing effect, giving you calmness. So that we have used, we ask various athletes to install in their mobile phones, and whenever they are feeling low, whenever they are feeling anxious, so we just ask them to take a one particular protocol out of it and to hear the soothing voice, soothing music, imagination, using visuals. So just a pilot study which we are doing right now. We are waiting for the results as well. Uh, Speaking about incorporation of technological integration in sports medicine. So one such aspect is telemedicine. So in telemedicine, what we do is the people who are not able to afford, or the people who are not in a place who belong to remote places. So we provide sports rehab consulting through telephone or through video, uh, what you can say, interviews. So it helps in bridging the gap of accessibility. Like it can be accessed by anyone at any time. Second is it is very cost effective. And third is it is more reliable than conventional methods as all the data, what we get, it gets stored. We have an organized system wherein we can track the person right from his beginning interaction till his present status. So it helps to give a very prescribed or very tailor-made protocol to the patient and thus elevating his treatment outcome. So all these, I guess, are the various how API not only it's affecting technological fields but non-technological fields also like medicine for sports physiotherapy. So API is such a wonder, the entire thing or the entire outcome measure of a medical field, of physiotherapy field or sports field, it's dependent upon API. And I being a non-medical, non-engineering person, non-technical person, I've been involved with API since last 1 year or 1.5 years, but I've learned a lot and I'm very fascinated how just numbers or the set of collection of numbers can affect the various parameters of life. So what I recommend is the collaboration between non-medical, non-technological fields and cutting-edge research in revolutionizing how athletes recover and enhance their performance through APIs. Second is our current thinking is focused only upon the technologies like wearable devices, smart devices, etc., etc. But the actual need is to take each and every minor component which has not been addressed till now and to develop it into some smart technologies using API as an interface. So that's the current need, that's the current requirement. And for this, I guess it is very crucial for the medical people, for the researchers to incorporate APIs wherever and whenever possible, because it's a very handy tool. And I guess it's the only thing which will help us to bridge the gap between conventional data collection methods and overcoming the time which we require for conventional methods so that we can use it in developing more and more better strategies for addressing any problems. And third is continuous research and innovation in regenerative treatments, biomechanics, AI, and telemedicine in order to push forward the current scope. the current benefits and the current advantages. So this was my summary about incorporation of AI or sorry API into sports field.
Correct. So, like, I have a few questions for you, Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Nikam. Like, the first is, what impact do smart insoles have on improving athlete performance and reducing injury risk?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, the very first thing which I did using API and sports physiotherapy was development of a smart insole. So basically, it's an insole which we put inside the shoe of any athlete or any normal person. So what it does is it tracks the real-time data related to various parameters of our gait. Gait is basically our walking pattern. So for example, whenever we walk, what is the pressure exerted on our hind heel or forefoot or midfoot? So our foot is divided into three parts: forefoot, midfoot, and hindfoot. So correct biomechanically speaking, we should initiate our walking on our heels. But many people, what they do is they skip this first step and they directly land up on their toes. So this has a chain reaction on our entire proximal muscles. It reduces the walking ability and plus it exerts lot of load on the muscles. So my or our aim was to have a device, smart device, which will not only keep a track of force depending upon the regions, but it will also tell us that what changes need to be made throughout the day. So what we did is we made an insole, we put it inside anyone's shoe, and we have real-time data throughout the day. So it records various data like there is something called as medial longitudinal arch angle. So what does it mean is whether the person is having flat foot, whether his arches are too much, like he has too much of his arches. So depending upon that, the energy expenditure of his foot muscles will depend. So if we come to know that a person is having low medial longitudinal arch angle, that means he's suffering from flat foot. So accordingly, we'll be giving him custom-made tailored protocols in physiotherapy, in sports physiotherapy, wherein we'll be working upon making his arches flat once again. So it's just a small example how APIs we have used in sports physiotherapy.
Okay. So, like, how do hydration and fatigue monitoring devices contribute to athlete longevity and injury prevention?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, hydration and lactic acid threshold. So these are very much crucial in terms of development of endurance in athletes. So for example, hydration levels, they are indirectly related to the muscle performance. For example, there is something called as a lactic acid threshold. So whenever there is any oxygenated activity, or you can say aerobic activity going on, so there are two types of activities, anaerobic and aerobic. So if a person is continuously working out for like 30 seconds or less, so our body doesn't require oxygen. So whatever workout is going on, that goes to anaerobic mode. But anything more than 30 seconds, so the body needs oxygen to carry out workout for longer period of time. So whenever there is oxygen involvement, the byproduct of aerobic mechanism is lactic acid. And if lactic acid gets accumulated, then it results in, you can say, fatigue of that particular muscle or particular set of muscles. So, what we can do is related to API. We are trying to figure out such a device which can sense the blood lactic acid level instantly, or which can give a continuous monitoring of the lactic acid which has been accumulated, so that the athlete can design his workout routine accordingly. That if lactic acid gets beyond the threshold level, he needs to rest. Okay, so that will ultimately improve his performance output. Second thing, what we were like thinking upon as a research question is whether lactic acid, there are any indirect methods to check or have a exact quantification of the lactic acid. So these are the unexplored, you can say, topics which need to be addressed right away.
Okay.
So this,
Sorry, go ahead.
yes. So wearable technologies have that limitation that it can analyze the external bodily fluids, like we can say sweat analysis, but deep down, which goes at the tissue level, like lactic acid, what you said. So it needs further more of research.
Okay. So, what are the ethical considerations, which should be addressed when using AI-based injury prediction models in the professional sports?
Uh, so we come across many, you can say, sponsored research studies as well. So the main drawback of this is as they're sponsored right away. So the ethical issue comes into play. So the researchers which have not been sponsored, or the researchers who are actively involved in exploring the advantages, the comparative analysis of various APIs or API related technologies. So that, I think, that needs to be like you can say promoted, because that is something which goes without any bias. Those are the people, like they'll be focusing upon the exact outcome, the exact quality of life, irrespective of the funding, irrespective of the branding, etc., etc. So first and the foremost thing, ethical consideration, what we need to give is the outcome has to be irrespective of any other beneficial factors which would promote overall health, which would promote or which would provide beneficials to entire sporting community. Second ethical thing which we need to consider while considering API technology uh, is the approach what we have. Like for example, doing anything for a commercial point of view, that's not enough right now for considering the sporting research scenario. So, in order to make it more sustainable, in order to make it more beneficial to the sporting community, what we need to do is we need to consider the cost parameter as well, because many of the sporting technologies which have been incorporated with APIs. So, I guess somewhere or the other, the pricing component is not beneficial to the entire major sporting community. Second ethical point is the pricing aspect, which I think needs to be considered.
Okay. So, what are the biggest barriers, according to you, in adopting advanced sports technology in physiotherapy clinics and training centers?
Yes. So first and the foremost thing is, like I said, the awareness about APIs, recent technologies among medical field people. Many of them still have no idea how much beneficial or how much crucial it is to use API in medical field, or what magic it can do when we incorporate these two things. So lack of awareness is the very first thing which I like to highlight over here. Second, most important thing is the lack of research. Even though people know of various like APIs and collaborative fields, but the lack of research, the lack of addressing very minor topics, minor problem statements, that is the second biggest hindrance you can see in the field. So there are a lot of problem statements, but the thing is, many of them don't uh, want to take research as their primary field. Uh, Instead, so main what I think is this the uh, so the limiting factor might be it is not as rewarding as other fields. But thing is, once you take up a small problem statement and you try to develop it, and once you get to that point where it becomes a finished product, so that is the most rewarding phase, what I can say. So these are the two things, major things, which I think are barriers in physiotherapy.
Okay. Any last parting words for our audience, Dr. Nikam?
To the entire audience, I would just like to say that if you are becoming familiar with APIs, you try to incorporate it in your own fields. Doing inter-collaborative or interdisciplinary research is the need of the hour. And as much magic as API is, so try to use it. Try to use the various sports technologies to develop, incorporate it with various fields, and try to come up with something out of the world. So research is the only way through which you can achieve this, and I request all to please join research and collaborative research as much as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Nikam, for this informative session and sharing your insights on the topic.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Your expertise and valuable perspectives has truly enhanced our understanding on the topic, and I'm sure the audience also has loved listening to you. We appreciate you taking your time out from your schedule for us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today at the virtual conference. We are thrilled to introduce the next speaker, Aishwarya Khatri, Operation Lead at Dizon, where she specializes in managing global operations, optimizing customer retention strategies, and leading high performance teams. With a background in data science and civil engineering, she brings a unique analytical approach to enhancing customer experience in the fast paced world of sports and entertainment. Having delivered over 800 plus lectures, she is passionate about innovation, problem solving, and entrepreneurship. There are many more things like operation management, sports technology, fan engagement, and leadership in her bucket. Today, she would be talking about revolutionizing customer experience in sports technology and how it powers the APIs. We welcome you, Aishwarya.
Hey, thank you, Ami, for having me.
Thank you.
So, so yeah, as Ami said, I'm Ishwarya, and I have been in the customer service and operations industry for almost 7 years now. Currently, I'm an operations lead at DAZN, a global sports streaming platform that delivers live and on-demand content to millions of fans worldwide. Well, before this, I worked with Amazon and Genesis International, where I focused on optimizing customer experience and streamlining support operations. Over the years, I have firsthand seen how customer expectations have evolved, especially in sports tech. So fans no longer, just want to watch a game. They want to engage with in it real life, switching between multiple screens, checking live stats, making in-game bets, and demanding seamless, uninterrupted experience. And when something goes wrong, they expect an instant solution to it. Well, that's why today I want to talk about an unsung hero behind these expectations and experiences, APIs. So, APIs are the backbone of modern sports technology, and they ensure that everything runs smoothly, from live score updates to AI-driven customer support. So let's dive into how they are transforming the way fans interact with sports, and more importantly, how they are reshaping customer service in the industry. So I'll start with the evolution of customer experience in sports tech. And not long ago, watching sportsmen sitting in front of the TV, waiting for halftime updates, reading about match highlights the next day. And fast forward to today, the experience is instant, interactive, and deeply personalized. Now, fans, just don't expect sitting in front of the TV, waiting for commercials to end and get into the game again. They expect live scores and stats without delays. They expect seamless streaming across all devices which they own. They want personalized content based on their preference and instant access to customer support when things go wrong. And if any of these elements fail, frustration builds, complaints pour in, and customers quickly switch to a competitor. And that's why sports tech companies are investing heavily in APIs to enhance speed, reliability, and personalization. So, if I talk about what are APIs and, okay, if I talk about what are APIs and why do they matter for customer experience? So, if you're not familiar with what APIs are, if you're not from a technical background, don't worry about it. I'll explain. So here's a simple way to think about it. So imagine you are in a restaurant and you place an order. The waiter takes it to the kitchen, the chef prepares your meal, but how does the food get to your table? Well, that's the waiter's job, right? And in the digital world, API plays the same role. So when a fan opens a sports app and asks for the latest score, APIs fetch the data from a server and deliver it in real time. Without them, every request would be manual, slow, and frustration leading to a poor customer experience, longer resolution times, and service failures. Now, how APIs improve customer experience in sports tech? Well, let's talk about the real impact it is creating. How APIs are directly, improving customer interaction. So first thing which we have is real-time updates when I talk about it. It is the need for speed. If I did not get my Zomato order delivered, I'll directly head to customer service. I'll get a resolution in 5 minutes. Maybe I might get a refund or I might get a replacement, whatever it is, right? That is what even customers are expecting in sports tech. So customer expects instant results and APIs ensure that there are live score updated in milliseconds. Push notification arrives as soon as a goal is scored or a batsman is bowled out. And there are in-game analytics refresh in real time. So for customer service teams, this means fewer complaints about delays, better engagement, and a smooth user experience. Well, the second thing I would like to talk about is seamless multi-platform experience. A fan might start watching a match on their smart TV and, check stats on their phone and listen to commentary on a smart speaker. And APIs make sure that the experience is consistent and uninterrupted across all devices. It won't be like, you're watching second over in your TV, getting updates about the third over in your mobile, and commentary about something else. It's all coordinated and it's all running at the same time. And for customer service, this means very few frictions, no technical issues, and an experience which is flawless. So the third thing is, AI-driven personalization, which APIs do. APIs work with AI to deliver customer experience based on the user behavior. Customers get personalized content recommendations, targeted alerts for their favorite teams, fantasy league and betting insight tailored to their interest. Now, when I talk about fantasy league, let me give you a, insight about it. This is a channel which is growing rapidly and is loved by customers across the globe. They are more interested at times in fantasy leagues rather than the actual game. So, well, that's again another part to, work around. But for businesses, APIs create engagement, retention, and overall customer satisfaction. The fourth thing which I would, let you guys know about is faster and smarter customer support. So APIs are backbone for customer support. If I say no, everything will be done manually. A customer will come, a representative will take care of, what their query is, handle things accordingly. No, that's not how things work. Most of the things, operations, I would say, is carried out by APIs, and they are the reason why we have a flawless customer experience. When customer faces issues, they want instant solutions, and APIs power chatbots, which are real-time assistants. So let's say a particular organization has customer service representatives available from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But what if I come back from work at 10 and I have a query which needs to be attended? So I directly go to the customer service portal. The chatbot takes care of, whatever my query is. If they are not able to, resolve my query, they will ask me to read it, drop a mail or redirect me to the suitable timing where all the representatives will be available. Then there are troubleshooting steps which the chatbot gives you for, any issues which you are facing technically. So let's say I want to watch IPL and I'm not able to stream it properly. It might be my internet connection, it might be my system update, it might be app related issue, right? So what these bots do is they go ahead and help me with the basic troubleshooting steps. What I can do, I can check my internet connection, I can go ahead and, update my app. If the issue is resolved, well and good for me, right? Same is for the customer. So these chatbots basically eradicate half of the customer inflow, customer experience inflow, or I would say customer queries inflow to the representatives, automating half of the process, which saves time, cost to the company, and a lot of manual work. Well, there is a seamless transition from bots to human agents for complex queries, and this reduces wait time, improves efficiency, and ensures a better overall support experience. So, now when I talk about the business impact of API, why should any organization invest in so much of tech when we can just randomly hire freshers to take care of the business and be the representatives of the organization? Humans can definitely do work better than the machines, right? We are smarter. But why do businesses need to invest in this? Well, for companies investing in APIs, it's just not about technology, it's about delivering exceptional customer service successfully. So, higher customer satisfaction is directly related to better retention. When I talk about better retention, let's say if I'm a customer and I'm getting what I want from a particular platform, I will never think to, cancel my subscription or move on to the other platform or switch to a better competitor, right? So, well, good experience is directly related to customers staying in with the organization, staying in with the product, and enjoying it, which is equivalent to more money, maybe. Yes. Well, and when customers get what they need instantly, they stick around longer. So, lower support cost is directly related to your increased efficiency. And obviously, automated solutions reduce the number of tickets reaching live agents, which is directly helpful for not the organization, but for the customers as well. So, APIs enable rapid feature updates, keep businesses ahead of the market trends. In short, a stronger API infrastructure is the equal to the better customer experience and great for business growth. So, what next? Now that you have created a bot, now that you are taking care of, a lot of customer experiences, uh, most of the things are automated automatically. What next? So APIs are already transforming customer interactions, but the future holds even bigger innovations. AI-powered predictions is the next big thing. And imagine receiving a match prediction based on real-time player performance. Who knows if Kohli will get out in the next over or not? But well, let me tell you something, API can do that. There are augmented reality stats, that is AR. We all are aware about AR, VR, right? It's the next cool thing which we see. Well, you can see live player stats overlaid on your screen while watching a game. Now you would say that, oh, Hotstar is already doing it, or maybe any live match which I watch, I get the stats. But what about the detailed stats? Are we just taking care of, how many matches this particular player has played, or how many goals this particular player has done in his entire career? Are we just talking about that? No, we're talking about details. Then there's something called as voice activated sports assistant, which you can, hey Alexa, play XYZ music. We do that often, right? But what about we ask a particular app to tell, hey Alexa, tell me what is the score right now? Alexa will definitely tell you the score. But what about what's happening in the background? How many runs did a particular player make, or when did he get out, right? So you can ask for live scores, game analysis, and betting odds hands free. So you'd say betting is illegal in India, Ashwarya, but fantasy sports is not, right? So that's how it is. Next big thing which I would like to talk about is wearable tech integration. We all are wearing smartwatches these days. Our curtains are smart, our fan is smart, our AC is smart, our washing machine is smart, our watches are smart. Everything is smart around us, right? And what if you could get instant updates synced to your smartwatch, fitness tracker, or even your smart refrigerator? That would be cool, right? Well, that's what APIs can do. So the ultimate goal is nothing but faster, smarter, and more interactive customer experience powered by cutting edge API technology. Well, that's all about APIs from in customer service from my side.
Thank you, Aishwarya. It was an amazing presentation. My first question to you is, how do APIs handle massive traffic during major events like finals of any game?
So, APIs use load balancing, caching, and cloud scalability. Sorry. APIs use load balancing, caching, and cloud scalability to process millions of requests simultaneously without crashes. So even if the entire world is watching a same game at the same time, that will not be a problem.
Okay, that's interesting. So,
Mhm.
like, are APIs secure in today's market, or in the future, is there any data breach risk happening, or it can happen?
So, I believe that the customer's security is a top priority for any organization. Wherever you're working, be it in sports, be it in, media, wherever, if you have customer data, its security should be your top priority. And APIs use authentication, encryption, and token-based access to protect customers' data from breaches. So it is completely risk-free and you can rely on it.
Okay. So, how and can APIs improve customer service, the response time of it?
Yeah, APIs power, as I said, right? They have been supporting instant chatbots, self-service portals, and AI-driven ticketing system. So even if a representative is not available, it reduces the wait times and improves the support efficiency, which directly impacts the customer experience.
Okay. So, as you were talking about chatbots, I want to understand, how can API enable personalization? Because
Yeah.
everything is becoming tech these days.
Yeah. So APIs, integrate AI with data analytics to track customer preferences, behavior, and engagement patterns, if I talk about. So let's say if I am somebody who is interested in only watching maybe football, right? So APIs help the chatbots to personalize things according to the customer's expectations and give a flawless experience.
Okay. You coming from the background, how can sports tech companies collaborate with streaming platforms, to offer interactive fan experience or customer experiences such as live polls, betting integrations, or the fantasy sports you were talking about? How can that happen?
So, APIs help you primarily with fan engagement and live polling, right? So, you might have seen, if you watch KBC, you might have seen that you will get a question and you have to give an answer to that in your Sony Live application. The same way, this is exactly how it works in Sports Tech as well. Fans vote on game predictions, they influence on-screen graphics. There is a live chat, which you get in YouTube as well during YouTube lives, right? So that is one of the thing. Second thing, when I say of betting integrations, there are real-time odds which appear on the stream. What can happen next? So is it completely correct? No, it's not. But according to the previous trends, APIs analyzes this data, and allows a seamless in-game betting experience as well. And then there is fantasy league syncing. So APIs connect fantasy leagues with live game stats for real-time scoring. And let's say during a football match, an API updates fantasy points instantly, showing how a player's goal impacts a future's user's future fantasy team.
Okay. A last question, like how can companies use APIs to create unified sports ecosystem? Like, linking live streaming, the merchandise these days, it is becoming very much in, and the social media engagement.
So, companies can use API to create a unified sports ecosystem by e-commerce integration. So, when I say about e-commerce integration, APIs recommend official merchandise based on the favorite teams. If I like Real Madrid, I will get Real Madrid t-shirts in my screen everywhere. Or maybe if I like Kolkata Knight Riders, I'll get the Kolkata Knight Riders mug experience, like an advertisement for the mug everywhere on my screen. Not everywhere, of course, but it would be a preferred choice. Then we have live social interaction. APIs sync match discussions across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not really sure if you might have noticed, but during IPLs, we keep on getting what a tweet was, sent recently about the match. And that is again what API does. Then there is unified user profiles where one login across streaming, fantasy league, fan communities, you're everywhere, you're omnipresent. So not every time you need to go ahead and keep logging in, creating another profile. So that's not how it works, right? So, while watching a live match, users get a limited time jersey discount for their team, which is triggered by an API based on in-game events. So that's how it works.
Okay. Quick takeaways for the audience listening. Quick one or two takeaways.
Yeah. So API is the future of customer experience in sports tech. And at the end of the day, customers don't care how things work. They just want smooth, fast, and enjoyable experience. And APIs are the invisible force that makes this possible. For business, the message is clear. Strong APIs lead to better customer experience, happier user, and long-term brand loyalty. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Aishwarya, for this wonderful presentation, explaining the topic so easily to all the audience watching.
Thank you, Ami, for this opportunity.
Like your expertise and valuable perspective on the topic has truly enhanced our understanding, and I'm sure it has inspired all the viewers. We appreciate you taking your time out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. And let's continue working towards a smarter, faster, and more customer centric sports tech industry.
True.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Next, we have a power pack panel discussion on a very interesting topic, that is monetizing cricket data, the business of APIs in sponsorships, digital content, and performance analysis, and featuring industry leaders who are shaping the future of sports technology with us. We have two panel members. One is Mr. Andrew Walton, Managing Director of STWS, and the second is Mr. Abhishek Desai, founder of Crick Heroes. We welcome you both.
Thank you. Ami, thank you. Namaste.
Namaste, Andrew. So, Andrew, his vision helped transform the grassroots and professional cricket data management, transitioning from Interact Sports, which partnered with Cricket Australia, to power platforms like My Cricket and Play Cricket, bringing live scoring and streaming to clubs worldwide. In 2021, Interact Sports was acquired by Sportsradar, further cementing his impact on global sports data ecosystem. Andrew is a level 3 high performance cricket coach with coaching stints at Fitzroy Doncaster CC, Praran CC, Melbourne CC, as a guest coach at Karnataka Institute of Cricket, especially in Bangalore in India. He is also actively involved in disability sports, sports innovations, and youth development. I have so many things to talk about Andrew. Andrew is currently engaged in multiple roles, including stakeholder manager at Disability Sport and Recreation. He's contributing to Australia Sports Innovation Week with STWS and serving as the director coach at Scotch College, where he continues to shape the next generation of cricketers. Once again, we welcome you, Andrew.
Ami, Thank you
And
for that.
the next panel member, Mr. Abhishek, he is the founder of Crick Heroes. Crick Heroes is the world's leading platform, especially for amateur cricketers and cricket enthusiasts. Since its inception, Crick Heroes has amassed over 35 million users across 120 countries, revolutionizing how grassroots cricket is played, tracked, and celebrated, with a mission to democratize cricket by connecting players and fans. Crick Heroes provides cutting edge tools and analytics that bring a professional touch to recreational cricket. Under Abhishek's leadership, the platform continues to empower the global cricket ecosystem, bridging the gap between amateur players and professional level technology. Over to you, Andrew.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ami. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. A pleasure to be here with Abhishek and being able to talk through a number of things about the business of APIs and what we've seen in our lifestyle. Because back when just for context, when I first got involved in developing a cricket management platform, cricket was mostly played with a red ball and sometimes a white ball. But now we also have pink balls as well. So the sport continues to innovate on the field, and we are seeing more and more more and more cricket in that short format. So just by way of history, for those in our audience here who are familiar with Crick Heroes, which is one of the best current platforms of its kind in the world. Before Crick Heroes, I think locally in India a while ago, it used to be Chalker. Was
Yes,
Chalker
Chalker
around
was
a long time? Yeah.
one of the players, yes.
So if anybody remembers Chalker, well, before Chalker, way back in the day, myself and my two founders created a platform called Results Vault that was part of our business called Interact Sport. And basically, we invented that back at the time because it's early 2000s. Websites were becoming a thing. Yet back in those days, a website was like somewhere where you went to see some information, a logo, maybe some photographs, and there was nothing dynamic about that experience. It was just somewhere to go. And within our club, we were trying to create an environment where, first of all, the scorecards could be published. Because back in those days, we were reliant upon the scorecards or a summary appearing in the newspapers. Right. And if you can imagine this experience, so Abhishek, as the captain of the team, South Yarra Cricket Club, we would play the game. We would then manually score in the scorebook the match. At the end of the match, the captain, I would then transcribe the details of that scorecard onto a page of paper that I would then fax to the association and then ring the summary through to the radio station and hope that in the next 2 or 3 days it would appear in a newspaper.
Right.
So that was our problem in the early days. And so we created this online element on the website but the philosophy was data entered once and flows where it needs to go. And that's where the first API aspect came into it, because the scorecard had to present itself as a scorecard online. Yet that information then had to transpose into a ladder for the competition, so you knew who was where, and then also into a series of statistics, batting, bowling, team, fielding, etc. That was the easy part. That was the easy part to a degree. But then in relation to APIs, so back then we were confronted with a situation where, okay, well, we're also trying to manage our club by way of communications. And we had 4 teams that were in 2 different competitions. So theoretically, I could play on a Saturday in one competition and Sunday in another competition.
Right.
Yet the first problem to solve was we didn't want to duplicate the record in different competitions. So you had to have a single record. So that was the first instance of a very basic API to make sure that the data of the core data was available in different areas. And then we go into, okay, because then a match, apart from being 2 teams, there's a venue, there are umpires, and sometimes they're coming from different areas as well. And then we had to think of the communications within the club. So this is back at a very primitive time. So we would like to email to our players the team selections, or email to the players their availability. So now you're using an email client to transfer the information, because that email would be customized to say, this is the round, these are the dates, this is the venue, this is the opposition, where that's sort of come from. And then ahead from that, we were using SMS back then, mobile phone, SMS to notify players. So all very stuff that we relate upon today, but very, very primitive in those first few years. Then after 6 or 7 years being an individual subscriber model, we then launched into a partnership with Cricket Australia, and that then took us into the first wave of iPad devices. So this is back when there was only iPad. There was no Android, no other tablet device at all. And initially, we started to look at how that could represent from a web page model and then to become responsive in a tablet environment. Then as it gradually went down a few years ahead, we then found more and more devices being available, and therefore how you could use APIs to transfer that information across into that format, but then also taking registrations that might require payments or the ability for clubs to purchase equipment or the clubs to be able to put match fees and those sorts of things in place as well. And then just to finish with, before I hand to you, Abhishek, so in 2015, when we were well down the path of mobile technology, that's when our relationship with Cricket Australia, excellent. We're doing all Australia by then. We then secured a contract with the ECB in the UK. They wanted to upgrade their Play Cricket database. And the benefit there was, Abhishek, that the ECB applied a digital mobile first philosophy. So that was great because everything before that, we designed around a desktop.
Right.
And try to fit it into that platform. So that took us to the next level, and that then unlocked things like live scoring and live streaming in the early days. And that's held up well into the 2000s. Yet I must say that when I first saw Cricket Heroes emerging a few years ago, it was so impressive because I do follow many of my friends, Amreen, Yuvraj, Likita, Sachin and Anya, who all play in Indian universities. And I felt so happy I could finally follow their progress in their domestic competition in India. Yet what Cricket Heroes was starting to deliver was something that we'd always aspired to. We just never had really the scale of audience and really the demand that you have there. So we sold the business to Sport Radar. It's gone in a different direction. That's okay, but I'm grateful for the experience that cricket gave me, and it is a real privilege in this industry to be able to see the great work that Cricket Heroes is now doing, not just in India, yet in tournaments, in regular competition all across the world. So, Abhishek, I'll hand over to you and you can bring us up to date as to where things are now, please, and into the future.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew, for those kind words. I mean, as you rightly said, probably we are the current platform, but you are the pioneer for like where everything started, right? So I think a lot of credit should go to you. And I believe apart from Interact Sport, Cricket HQ was also another platform which probably started in 2010. So, and I guess Interact Sport must be before that, right? So
Yeah.
you guys are like, these are the couple of platforms which actually started this revolution of digitizing the cricket game, right? We were just fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. 2016, when we started, the smartphone revolution was just starting in India because right along with Crick Heroes, the Geo platform also launched the Geo data network, basically. And that made data very, very cheap and accessible across India, right? And smartphone prices were also going down, specifically the Android phones. So that also kind of helped us in growing. And as you mentioned about cricket ECB, Andrew, we were also very, very clear from the beginning that we want to go mobile first. So that one decision also actually played, like in our favor in a huge manner. We never created the desktop interface. We only created it later when we actually wanted to give it to some cricket associations and all. And like when we decided that okay, we also need to have some presence on Google to take care of the search engine optimization advantages. That's when we started working on the website part. But from day one, Crick Heroes was always conceptualized as a mobile first platform. And we started serving the Android users first because
Android is like 90% of India's user base. And after probably about 4 to 6 months, we launched our first iPhone app as well. So, that's how the journey of Crick Hero started. This is late 2016, early 2017, I'm talking about. And organically, we grew to become a platform which started covering the short format, limited over matches like T20, T12, T16. Generally, these are the kind of formats which gets played at grassroots level in India. But very soon, we also started interacting with cricket associations in India, and they kind of told us that there are multi-day matches which happens in associations. So then, we also had to create a scoring module which supported a multi-day, multi-innings cricket format. So then, like that was further evolution of Crick Heroes as a platform. So then now we are supporting limited over matches as well as we are supporting multi-day, multi-innings matches as well. Uh, if I have to talk about APIs, I mean, then I believe the demand for API started pretty early in our journey. Probably it took like a couple of years for that because people were kind of waiting for their stats to, generate and kind of accumulate on the Crick Heroes platform. But once it started happening, like some of the organizers or some of the auction software companies, they came to us and they started kind of telling us that, hey, you know what, you guys have this data and we are taking this data for our auction, like the physical auctions I'm talking about, right? And which is a phenomena inspired highly by IPL. So, like if you see in January, February, March, we will see a lot of grassroots cricket tournaments organizing proper auctions, right? Where they will have a gala auction at a hotel. They will invite all captains and, like team owners, and they will put a proper show like IPL. And then obviously there are also, like a low key auctions also happen, right? And even in corporate tournaments, auction happen. So basically, auction is a very, very popular feature attached to grassroots cricket. So those people came to us and said, hey, you know what? We are copying your data manually right now from your website or from your app, and we are putting it in an Excel file. And then, we are showing that data to our audience when they are bidding for players, right? So that kind of became the first use case for us to provide API access. So we have recently started working with a couple of players in auction segment where we have started giving them APIs so that they don't have to manually do this. They can simply pass on the player ID to us or maybe a unique phone number of a player in our API. And in return, they will get all the batting stats and bowling stats and fielding stats of the player, which gets displayed on a PowerPoint presentation or which gets displayed on a bigger screen in an auction room. And then they people start bidding for those players. So basically it made the entire auction process pretty seamless. So this was one use case which we started solving with the API. Another use case which also came to us was via associations. Some of the associations wanted to show their matches on their own website, which is obviously a very natural demand. So in that case, we also kind of created two options for them. One, they could embed a code on their website, which started showing their specific tournaments and their specific matches on their website and powered by Crick Heroes. So the backend is Crick Heroes, but the front end can be anywhere. And they can also customize the front end so that it looks like their own website and not looks like something Crick Heroes is providing. That was one. And second, some of them also told us that, hey, you know what, we want to use our own UI for our own scorecard and all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to give us data via APIs for scoring and all, right? I don't think we have done that a lot, but there were certain demands, which also kind of made us realize that, okay, this kind of API can also help us going forward. Sporadically, we also heard from some users who were very, very data savvy and, like somebody who is kind of a data scientist in some corporate. And then, he will come and tell us that, hey, you know what, we do a lot of calculations, a lot of insights, a lot of analysis before we start our tournament or before we make matches and all. And then they will come up with a very, very detailed Excel sheet and they will show that, hey, see how this is how we do the analysis. And then, they were wondering if we can provide them APIs, again, purely the stats API, right? Which can help them make this analysis much more real time. And also kind of removes the hassle of copy pasting data manually and all, right? So basically, these are some of the use cases as Crick Heroes we have seen specifically from API perspective. Having said that, everything we do is an API, right? I mean, we have our own app essentially, which consumes API from our servers. We also create white label apps for cricket associations and cricket clubs and cricket tournaments as well. So there must be 500 to 800 apps which we have created so far for various organizations. So all those apps essentially are also kind of clients of our APIs, right? And our own website, the embed code which is there on association website, all of those are web-based clients. So the entire architecture of Crick Heroes is designed in such a way that every data point of Crick Heroes can be consumed via APIs. But not all of those APIs are open for everyone, which is the path I believe as Crick Heroes we are going to go forward with now, looking at the demand in the market.
Outstanding, Abhishek. And this is where it's so good to hear about the progress here, Ami, because we had an initial strategies around, we felt that because, and this is at a time where Crick Info was just emerging and it was the only real site around. Apart from, I think Wisdom back then might have carried some stats as well, but that was for the elite, the high level.
Right.
We always felt though that if we could develop a sustainable business, particularly where there were subscriptions attached to it, that the growth in the grassroots community was going to continue to happen. So our basic philosophy there was the more information, more involvement, more interest in the sport. Yet that was at a time where it was predominantly data from text would appear in some sort of format. Where Abhishek and his team have now taken it to that was that once streaming started, yes, people can watch the match. However, the streaming, once you've got vision, and then you can start to bring into it highlights. Now, AI highlights can be brought in there as well, pitch maps, wagon wheels. You've got a whole lot of extra visual data, which is very important. And then a true story. So it was May this year, I'd got back to Melbourne from Bengaluru. And as I'm driving home, there was a live auction for a tournament here, Century Cricket, being undertaken at a hotel in Melbourne. And I'm watching a YouTube. So I'm trying to work this out. I'm watching a YouTube stream of an auction in Melbourne using data from Crick Heroes in India, not just the player's profile, but they're also comparing players against players when they're looking at batters. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, how far this has currently gone.
Right.
That's now being expected by the generation ahead. That's from a player perspective. The other thing too, which I'll drop in before back to Abhishek, is that the membership data of the players and the fans. So here in Australia and in the UK, the BBL and the 100 competitions are very, very much about trying to convert people, whether they're players, coaches, parents, participants, fans, whatever, into some form of membership structure to get them to go to a game at the MCG or more, or get them to visit a game in the country or another venue. And a lot of that information around the participant profile comes from the APIs that may be data-driven, or it could be their engagement with something visual that's occurred from the game. And ahead, maybe you want to touch on the AI sort of thing coming ahead, Abhishek, as to how much flexibility that now allows you to do if we're looking into what's coming in 2026 and beyond.
Right. No, so Andrew, I talked about AI highlights, which is already part of Crick Heroes right now. So every day we, let's say roughly about 10 to 12,000 matches get live streamed on an average on a monthly basis on Crick Heroes platform. And out of that, we create 100 to 150 matches highlight every day with the help of AI. The only restricting factor for us right now is the infra cost associated with it, because it's expensive to process that much video data and create highlights and all. But theoretically, it is possible to create highlights for almost all the matches which get live streamed on Crick Heroes. And those highlights get attached directly to the scorecard and to the respective profile of players, which they can go ahead and purchase after the match. So right now, those highlights are taking about 24 hours, like sometimes 24 hours to generate, which is too much time. So we are also working on a technology to kind of create those highlights within an hour of completing the match, or, in future, most likely real-time highlights will be generated, that somebody has gotten out and few minutes the highlights will be generated for that person, right? Because at that time the tempers are high and the adrenaline rush is there to, okay, see something like that. The most likely purchase might happen at that time, right? And plus, obviously, it also makes the game far more exciting for everyone
Mm.
involved. So yes, that is one direction. The AI is helping us a lot. Another direction which we had tried in the past, Andrew, and we kind of rescinded it mostly because of the cost reason. But we also tried creating AI powered commentary. So right now we generate ball to ball commentary. It is pretty simple because it's heuristic based. So nothing much excitement around it right now. But if we are able to put those commentaries along with some other metadata of the match
Mhm.
and tournament in an AI, and then the output which we get is pretty exciting and pretty accurate in many cases, right? And that makes the, and again, the consumption of the entire game far more exciting. There is another AI use case which we have tried and which is coming out really good, is pre-match and post-match show. So just the way, like we obviously, when you watch international cricket, there is a pre-match show and then there is a post-match show and all, right? Similar kind of pre-match and post-match show is available, can become available for a grassroots cricket match as well with the help of AI, in any voice you want. So imagine your pre-match show in the voice of Ravi Shastri or
Yep.
Harsha Bhole or Tom Moody, right? And that it can be a game-changing experience for grassroots cricketers. And like we have experimented with it, and the results are fantastic. So we just really need to find out a business model, right? The true challenge of AI, AI will keep progressing, and a lot of such use cases will uncover. However, I think the true challenge for any business will be how do you monetize this? Right. So how do I monetize AI based commentary or AI powered commentary, or how do I monetize AI powered pre-match show and post-match show at grassroots cricket matches? Right. So these are some of the challenges which is kind of restricting us to put all those use cases at once out in the market. But AI highlights is something which is already there out there in the market. We are getting a decent traction on it. We believe it can become a highly scalable revenue channel over the period of time.
Ami, over to you.
Perfect. It was an interesting conversation with both of you. Like, I have a few quick questions to ask.
Yes.
Okay. Abhishek, the first question is to you. Like, as you were talking about cricket data APIs are transforming, the local cricket tournaments. So, how do you see the AI and predictive analytics playing a role into monetizing the performance data at grassroots level?
So we are already monetizing performance data at grassroots level. So we have a module called Crick Insights, which is essentially an analytics module to give you deep dive into your own performance as a cricketer, and also helps you analyze the opponents before your match, or even once your match is over, to analyze the past match, the completed match, right? So that you can strategize better in your next game. So that way we are already kind of monetizing the player data or the match data. Predictive analytics is something which we have not delved into a lot so far, but that is a clear-cut use case which we see in international matches happening all the time. What is how likely the betting team is, like betting team is about to win or something like that, right? So predictive analytics is, I believe it will be difficult to monetize it, to be honest, at grassroots level, but it can be a very, very good engagement feature for us. So if we have to bring in predictive analytics, I believe we will bring in as a engagement feature first, and we'll worry about monetizing it later.
Okay. Andrew, the next question is to you. In your experience over so many years, what are the most effective models for monetizing real-time data in digital media, or you take these days the OTT platforms?
Yeah. Look, I think an untapped area here really is how sponsorship and media-driven content can flow through the entire ecosystem. I mean, so much of it is concentrated at the elite level of the game, and we understand that. Yet, I think when we look at what Cricket Heroes now enables you to do is understand the complete profile of the player and how they've got there. And the reason why I mention that is because so often, now whether I'm sitting in the offices of Viacom or Star Sports, everyone's talking about storytelling. We have to be better at storytelling to engage the fan, engage the audience. And players all come from somewhere. They didn't just pop out of an academy or a pathway and emerge there. So if I use the example, Glenn Maxwell started his cricket at South Belgrave as an 8-year-old. He then went to Richmond Cricket Club, then went to Fitzroy Doncaster, where he still plays now in grade cricket, and then he plays for multiple teams over the world. Yet being able to create a connection with the audience that this is where the players come from. And it creates an emotional connection to the game. So they don't then look at a player as being, oh, he's so and so from RCB, and we don't like RCB, but hang on, you might know someone where he's played from because a player has been there before. And I think that then allows sponsors to delve deeper into not only broadening their audience, but they bring into it the emotional connection, the storytelling into where it is. So I think that the days of just plastering a logo across the screen, it doesn't do a lot. The other thing too, with the OTT platform, what that also allows us to do ahead is look at other ways of delivering the information, whether it be a watch along or a watch party, where you may have a streamer or a commentator part of what's going on, but not actually in. They're giving a narrative or review on the game, Abhishek. They're not actually at the game. They're watching it on a screen like gamers, and their audience is conversing with them as well. So I think that also opens up the option, where sponsors and commercial engagements can come in, like, whether it be buying skins or whatever it may be, or products that link to a partner. Those opportunities are there because in the gaming community, we are seeing a Twitch stream interrupted because Loser Fruit's got her KFC delivered by Uber Eats, and here it is on the screen with her audience while she's playing Fortnite. So those sort of behaviours, I think, are going to further come into this, but we need to be able to then have that data and that experience utilising APIs to then link it closer to the commercial entities involved in the sport.
Okay. The next question is to both of you. I just want an understanding from both of you. There is an ongoing debate going on about, making player performance data publicly accessible versus keeping it competitive as a competitive asset, basically. So, what do you see as the balance, and is it impacting commercialization?
Yeah, sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, no. So I just have to say that from day one, all Crick Heroes data, like all player stats, are completely open for everyone to access. Essentially, because of players, Crick Heroes is there, right? Not vice versa. So, players have all the rights to access their data in any form they want. So not only we have all the data open in our website, but we also have, downloadable scorecard in PDF format, downloadable leaderboards in Excel format, etc., so that, if they want to go ahead and do some further analysis on top of it on their own, they can do that. I think it's like a cricket match, right? Better team will win. So if we as Crick Heroes are able to provide better analytics on top of the data, then we will win. But if somebody else can provide it better, then they will win, right? Essentially, anyone will win, will make the entire game better, right?
Yeah.
So we see it that way.
I always feel that access to performance data improves the quality and the standard of the game.
Right.
Because the data really is, the data available is telling a story of history.
Right.
The screen won't bowl the ball for you. You've still got to, the player still has to go out and execute their skill accordingly. And the more information they have, which is validated and accurate, we're moving beyond perception. And I think also just from because there's so many leagues around the world now, I have a strong, it actually helps the players get recognised because they've got a greater chance of being identified from something that they've done, not necessarily from a highlight performance, also from an impact. Because sometimes what a player might do if they're batting, for example, Army, what they might do in 6 or 10 balls can have more impact on a match than a player who's batted for 50, 60 balls. And
Right.
having access to that data openly allows you then to assess that and not just lose that behind.
Sure. Yeah. True.
Okay. So Abhishek, like, your like there are sponsorship deals in cricket, like, and they are the traditional things being driving, like reach and eyeball thing. So have you seen a shift over the traditional exposure, like from past to now? Like, what is the change you have seen?
In terms of player sponsorship, you mean, Ami?
Player sponsorship, yes.
Uh, I mean, we know for sure that certain grassroots cricketers, they are so popular that they get sponsored by, like their respective team owners.
Yep.
Basically, they get fees for playing a match, right?
Yes.
Just like a professional cricketer will do, right? I mean, they are that good. So, that kind of environment already exists. It had also existed before Cricket Heroes came into picture. But the only change which we have brought in is we have made it far more accessible for everyone to see performances of every player. Before that, it was very, very difficult for talented cricketers to come out. It was just like via word of mouth, and
Mhm.
which will have a limited reach. Now, with the help of Crick Heroes, people are kind of sharing their profiles in, let's say,
Yes.
various WhatsApp groups to basically tell people that how good they are. Or if I want to hire somebody in my team in a specific role, then I will probably ask for a Crick Heroes profile, or I will check myself first before
Mhm.
taking a decision, right? So we have just added that one extra layer of which can help in decision making. So player sponsorship has always been part of grassroots cricket, but like with the help of Crick Heroes, it has been better. And I believe because of IPL and many other leagues which are popping up, I think a decent grassroots cricketer has a chance of earning or making a living only by
Yes.
playing. Even if he is not part of a BCCI squad, right, or even a state squad, he or she still has a decent chance of making a living by simply playing some high quality grassroots cricket, which is a proper shift which we have seen in, let's say, last maybe 4 to 5 years maximum. Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, like, these days there is fantasy cricket and betting has, is driving a huge demand on the cricket data. So, like, how can the API monetization work, or how can it emerge into this space? And are there any regulatory challenges which you are seeing?
Yeah, look, there will be regulatory challenges in the sports betting area. We've definitely seen a very big culture shift in Australia away from that, where there's been public concern arise about the amount of sports betting advertising, which is dominating multiple platforms. Which I think is a good thing, because you don't want children going to a game and judging who they feel is going to win the match because of what the odds are, and that's been unmissable. Um, I'm a bit mixed on this one, Army, because I understand that there is some contributions that are valuable from the commercial aspect to the growth of the game.
Right.
Yet I think we've also got to be conscious of the damage that can be done if there's too much emphasis on that. And I think we're in that sort of finding out phase. We sort of it skyrocketed to a degree over a period of time, and now it's sort of like leveling out. But wherever you can have a sporting contest, there'll always be some sort of betting or gambling, and it does though on the other side, it does create an ability for tournaments to exist. Sometimes a tournament sponsored to attract players and talent does require that type of involvement. But I suppose look, as long as the information is available and open, it can hopefully reduce issues of concern or complication ahead. So the more you can see, the more you can identify, then the end user can work out whether it's a risk to them or not, or whether they're actually going to make an investment there. But it's better in the end if the data is coming from a live component that is accessible, then that will create a better situation.
Okay.
According to me, the
Hmm.
biggest problem right now, specifically in India, is the gray area in which these companies exist. Betting is illegal in India, but still the betting is a state subject.
Yes.
you see, apart from IPL, almost all the smaller leagues have betting companies as their sponsors, right? But at the same time, betting is not allowed. So, like the problem is confusion, right? That whether it is allowed or not allowed. I think that is something which we really need to sort out because, for example, at Crick Heroes, we do not entertain, like we refuse betting sponsorships, which is, to be honest, I mean, ethically, it's the right thing to do. At the same time, it is also causing a huge loss of revenue for us, right? Do not want to, we do not want to, and we do not have any association with any betting companies. But at the same time, they literally steal our data from our website, by accessing our APIs in an unauthorized way, and like show some of the tournaments on their respective websites. Which is really really irritating for us because like it kind of puts us in a very very difficult and awkward situation where as Crick Heroes we are not involved, but because data is getting stolen from Crick Heroes, like somewhere or the other, like our name gets tarnished, right? And we also end up losing a lot of revenue as well. So if, I mean, betting is completely illegal, then do not allow anything, right? Do not allow any sponsorship at any level, right? And if it is illegal, then just make it regulated so that like everyone can in the ecosystem can benefit. Right now, the problem is the gray area in which this entire thing exists. So that is something we really, as an industry, we really need to figure out how to go about it.
Correct. I'll take just one last question. Uh, if both of you were advising any startups today to build a business around cricket data APIs or into the cricket ecosystem, what are the gaps in the ecosystem and how would you recommend as an experienced person into the industry to go about?
You mean
Abhishek,
Yeah,
yeah,
you mean to say, Ami, gap between grassroots cricket and the international
yes,
cricket, right?
yes.
Okay, perfect. No, so exactly that is what I mean. That is why Click Heroes exist. So we keep telling our team that we exist because we want to make grassroots cricket world class, right? Or if you go to our website, you will also see something like we make grassroots cricket better one match at a time, right? So that is the mission for which we are here. How we are doing it? So AI highlights, I already gave an example. Obviously, before that, live streaming came into picture, and after that, AI highlights came. So live streaming is something which we created our own technology so that you can live stream using a mobile phone, or if you're live streaming using a third-party professional camera, then you can still use our score overlays and all. And then on top of live stream, highlights came into being. Then another innovation which we are working is building our own camera so that more matches can get live streamed. We call it capture. We believe it will be highly useful for ground owners and league organizers and cricket clubs and cricket associations who want to live stream their matches at a very very cost effective way. And it is obviously going to be a boon for players because most of the matches which get scored on Crick Heroes, we believe a lot of them can also get live streamed. The only thing which is stopping uh, us, or like the ecosystem, to do that is the either the cost associated with it or the hassle associated with it. So, we want to remove both of these obstacles by building our own camera. That is another innovation. Fourth is we are working on a DRS product, decision review system. So decision review system is a like a no-brainer for an international game. It will be always be there, but it is still not like a regular thing in grassroots cricket. So that is also something which we want to change. Some of the premier tournaments can have DRS systems, which will help umpires make better decisions, which will also give fairness, add fairness to for both the teams in the game. So that is another innovation we are coming up with. So slowly, in fact, we also tried our hands. We are also trying our hands on building a stump camera, right? So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that we simply identify that, okay, what is it there in the international game, right? What players are getting there, and how much of that technology can we bring at grassroots level in a cost effective way. So that is one question which we keep asking ourselves, and that is kind of the path which helps us innovate in the right direction.
Okay. So Abhishek, what is your advice to startups who want to enter into the cricket ecosystem? Like you have a lot of experience into this ecosystem. So what is your advice to the startups?
uh, a lot of areas are still like to be uncovered by Crick Heroes and by many other players. So as I said, all the video innovations which I just talked about, the market is still open for anyone to capture that. So, like that is one area where everyone, analytics is another area where, like everyone can, like a lot of players can still win. The market is huge. Cricket equipment, cricket merchandise, these two are again huge opportunities for anyone who has expertise in any of those areas to build a sustainable and a large business. So yeah, I think these are 3 or 4 opportunities easily, like which exist even today, and which will keep existing for a foreseeable future for any startup to build a viable business.
Okay. Andrew, like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so first of all, advice to startups, I've got 4 points there, Ami. So first of all is to understand your own technology. Be aware of what you've got. Keep your code organized. Don't take shortcuts. Test the whole entire process, but test it yourself and listen to your customer, as in really listen to your customer. As in, please don't rely upon just purely text chats or WhatsApp messages. Get to know your customer, use video message, use the context of the conversation. And then as far as what they could do for the future ahead, so just to pick up on Abhishek, yeah, I think multiple camera angles. We have seen the quality of streaming is now accepted. Yet majority of streaming now is still one camera. So multiple camera angles is aspect there. Right. Content production features. So my 2 youngest children are 10 and 13. They don't know Snapchat, they don't know Facebook, they don't know Twitter, but they know YouTube and they know TikTok. And because of those platforms, they understand, and they've never read a manual, never read an instruction book, but they know how to create content with music, with sound, with slow motion, with animation, etc. So content production features. The third one, pick up on something that Abhishek said before about just the efficiency in video storage and conversion. Like at the moment, there's still a lag in getting that into the end point. And the fourth thing was, sorry, it's five things. Fourth thing was allowing incoming commentary. So if you've got a watch party sort of situation, you can actually interact with your audience. And the last one, putting my coaching hat on, is if Yuvraj is playing for Bengal, that I'm sent an alert as his coach with a package or some information from the game that I can then utilize to not only mentor Yuvraj through his experience, yet also we can put on our own data file and reflect back upon if we think that something has gone on. So they're the sort of things that if coming into cricket, I still believe we can do more in those areas. So camera angles, content production, efficiency in video, incoming engagement, and connect with your coach and your mentor. Because Abhishek's right, like the grassroots player who can now be recognised, the majority have a coach of some sort who's not their team coach nor their club coach. They're having a mentor from some other area.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Abhishek, for your time. And the panel was really interesting. Like, I got to know, I think the audience also might have understood a lot of things which were new and they were able to relate to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Andrew. Great talking to you.
Namaste. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Ami.
Namaste.
As we move forward in our next session, I'm thrilled to introduce today's speaker, Govind Balakrishna. He's a true visionary in the world of sports and entrepreneurship. Govind is the founder and CEO of All Sports Fit, a leading platform revolutionizing sports and fitness. With a passion for innovation, he has established himself as a serial entrepreneur and mentor at CII, guiding the next generation of business leaders. Recognized for his unremarkable achievements, he was featured in the prestigious 30 Under 30 by Times of India. Please join me in welcoming Govind, where he will talk about grassroots sports in India and abroad and what are the vision and technologies. We welcome you, Govind.
Thanks so much, Ami, for this opportunity and sports first. And it's incredibly exciting to be here amongst other distinguished speakers who's also going to be speaking, otherwise. And truly, I think it's a great day to start and voice what we do and our vision as a company. So what we're really looking forward. So let me give an intro of what All Sports Fit was all about, why we started, and what is the element of programs, services, technology in sports that we would like to offer as a company, and probably to impact lakhs and millions of kids, India and globally, taking the vision of 2036 as an initiative. So it all began as a vision when COVID was one of the reasons I started this. And what we saw was there was no large initiatives driven for fitness and sports, customized and designed for children, right? And that's where we came. Yes, there were few inspirational companies that we took sources of information or vision from or aspiration from, and then we did start all sports, right? And it is very key and critical for children to have a sport discipline as a whole initiative, along with the ecosystem of the platform, a structured curriculum, and making sports compulsive, right? And that's where we started addressing back in 2022 when we began our journey. And it all started establishing from schools and beyond schools, right? So having said that, the core areas we are trying to solve is 2 to 3 areas. One is how do you bring discipline to sports and make it compulsive? The second is how do we identify talent scouting, right? And bring in more talent from any parts of India or globally, right? As we scale as a company. The third initiative is technology, right? So these are the three emphasis factors that we really focus on as a company, All Sports Fit. And what also we are trying to address is start working with schools on a large scale, right? And it could be with the city we are present in strongly, which is Bangalore, or pan-India presence that we are going to have. We are operating around 30, 40 locations, and we'll be operating around 100 plus, maybe even much more, right? So one is the physical activity, the actual sporting programs that we design through disciplined curriculum, which is completely made indigenous based on the infrastructure availability, based on the space, the utilization of spaces that we have in the schools. And the other aspect is also taking up the general wellness of kids by making sports and physical education compulsory. So when we just go back to the area of technology, what we also want to drive is compulsive IoT and sensor-based tech, along with profiling of kids, right? So that's another transition we're aggressively working on a large scale. So we believe data can play a huge role in terms of accuracy and something visually you can't see it with your eyes as a coach, as a trainer. And also it's like a personal milestone that an individual student can see as he or she perceives through the journey of grassroots. So these are some of the areas we are aggressively working. And another interesting thing is we are open for collaborations, which is very much key important here. Is we want to bring introduction of golf to India at a very early age. Why golf is not a retirement game, right? It should be brought to young kids. Why not? You can have golf championships, like a mini golf championships for children. Why not, right? And we want to aggressively bring baseball, right? I think we are all diehard fans of cricket in India. We have a huge follow base and everything. So another thing is making basketball even more aggressively beneficial through ecosystems like NBA, right? So in terms of, it could be supporting ecosystems for scholarships, or bringing new scout and talent in these multidisciplinary areas which has never been explored before or very little explored. As we understand, there are 2 to 3 sports that have taken higher percentage of attention, right? We all know when we were kids in India, we played 2 to 3 sports which is extensively played: cricket, football, basketball, or whatever is the games. I think we have Pro Kabaddi League and pickleball picking up recently, right, as an attention, and I think it's going to be the next curve of growth for pickleball. So why we believe in the transition of bringing global sports and making it a normal mandate in India is when you have a unique talent, there is opportunity there. right? So for example, the scenario is cricket, basketball, football have so many people getting into it, but you have very little people coming to golf or it could baseball or niche sports. So that is another area of how we envision our company. And again, going back to the technology element, we want to utilize the tools what they have been extensively using in the global geographies and markets, where a lot of reliance is on data, a lot of reliance is on technology-based assessments, and a lot of data is looking at how do we look at competitive landscape for individual sports or individual profiling, or it could be tournament assessment, team strategy. So a lot of emphasis we want to use through sensor-based tech. And I think it requires a lot of, there is no one-stop shop. You can't have a particular technology tool for all the sports. I think it has to be customized, devised as per the platform, as per the infrastructure, as per the learning experience. I think companies have done depth of these training platforms where tools are already being utilized, technology already been implemented, but not at a very large scale. So we want to do this at a large scale. That's our kind of an opportunity we're looking at and we are seeking as a company. So having said that, the main collaboratives helps us in the areas of working with such kind of platforms, ecosystems, and bring them to Indian schools, kids in India, students in India who play for the love of sport. And we have already done some collaborations, which I may not be able to name today, but soon in the future, we'll be able to voice. We are already on track to impact around 100,000 kids as well in the last 3 years of journey. I think we'll multiply them as we scale, which has given us a great learning curve. Initial days were difficult to have such initiatives. Making sports compulsive in India is a huge challenge. Physical education, because a lot of emphasis was there on academics. I think now it's changing. Everything is going to be balanced. We have had inspirations from great athletes winning medals, and students wants to have such aspirations and inspirations from athletes. So I think the future looks very promising in terms of how nurturing is very much required in grassroots. That's where we're super excited to collaborate with some of the big names in the market. And another thing that we want to learn is learn from the global geographies of the best practices. Europe is well known for football. America is known for baseball, basketball, and many. So we want to bring those learning experiences into grassroots, because we should not be teaching sports based on what the coach knows. We should be teaching sports and should be helping kids at the grassroots what the global sporting ecosystem requirements are. That helps you compete at a global level. And that spirit of competitiveness should begin from right early age. And that's where you kind of imbibe, train, nurture to take them to the next level. And that's what also All Sports Fit stands for. So we say we want to create champions and athletes. That's our motto of what All Sports Fit stands for. Having said that, what we also believe is there are so many things, there are so many gaps that has to be fulfilled in terms of the structure. And we are trying to address that as we learn year on year. One of the challenges that we saw in the vision of All Sports Fit in the last 3 years, it's not been too long, is we saw there is an infrastructure issue, right? When I say infrastructure, it's a sporting infrastructure that may not support all kinds of sports you want to play, right? Because to play a particular sport, you require that environment, that discipline, that kind of a natural transition for you to play, so that it challenges you to play at any capacity tomorrow. So that is another challenging point that we are trying to address through grassroots. We're tying up with schools that gives opportunities for other students, kids to come to those schools that have infrastructure to play. At the end of the day, We are not differentiating ourselves with private schools, public schools, government schools, tribal schools, rural schools. For us, everyone is the same. Talent can come from any part of India, any part of the world. And our vision is how many medals can we generate through our training programs when they reach the Olympics. That's the long-term vision of 2036 that we have. And what is really happening in terms of what we can produce and promote is the steps we have taken.
Correct. So, like, I have a few questions regarding this only. Uh, like, as you are into this field, like, how do you see, like, the other countries where the grassroots systems are strong, the structure wise, the sports program, and what can India as a country learn from that?
So, like I said earlier, it's a good question. There are best practices that has to be looked through, right? So, when we have programs designed for K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 10, 12 grade, right? So, it is very well structured, and all these learnings are coming from the well-established ecosystems abroad. But you can't blindly follow what the best practices are. You got to understand your environment, your scenarios, the mindset here, and the opportunities of the infrastructure available here. So you got to go completely indigenous and get into more customization, right? So another thing is sometimes you also help with whatever, you can only do so much with what you have and the available space in the sporting. And sporting is a long-term journey. It's not something that you can do for 6 months, 1 year, and say, I'll drive athletes. I cannot do that, and no one can do that. So what we've been learning and carefully observing is how structured and disciplined are the programs designed for the grades that I just mentioned in 3 stages. First is the focus on the locomotive skills that gives you the basic foundation for you to learn or get to an introduction of a sport. So it could be dealing with your, grip assessment, your locomotive skills, your movements, and all that. Those are the basic foundations that you need, under 5. And once you're going to 6 years in the kids' journey, or the children's journey, you start getting into learning of a new sport. It's an introduction. So what basic foundation you do here is important for you to get there. And then the child's interest starts moving towards I want to play basketball. I'm influenced with a particular athlete. It may be too early to understand, but it is through the peer learning experience the children get totally influenced, and only when they play is when they learn, right? So that's another way to look at it. Only when you play is when you learn, right? That's the way to look at it. And that's the thing that we also do. So I think curriculums abroad are already well structured. They've been, operating since maybe 2 decades, 3 decades or more. They have a physical education.
Okay.
Physical education, yeah. Physical
Go
education
ahead.
is one of the most important assessments that becomes one of the important part and parcel of their academics. So that is what also has happened in India with new education policy. Physical education and sports made compulsory. And it's only that transition that has to happen by making sports equally as important as academics. So going back to your question, using the best practices, indigenization is key, and execution, right? These are the 3 things that we look at.
Okay. So, like, what policy level changes are needed, for specific grassroots sports to become more accessible and more structured from the Indian context?
Yeah. So I think it's also the education boards and education advisories who have to voice the importance of sports. How is it important for the general wellness of kids by making sports compulsive, not alternative? And even the government intervention is very key and necessary. We have definitely government bodies that has come out with initiatives, but we need it at a large scale as a mandate. And that's where, you can produce large amount of athletes. So we all know for a fact that, where we stand at the medals tally, if you look at the population of India, with the younger audience or the youth sports being one of the largest numbers. So there is an opportunity where we need to make use of that numbers as a demography, right? So when we have such advantages, I think the government intervention, the education policymakers, you know, the think tankers have to ensure that they should frame a mandate policy so that it helps in the overall development and athlete management right from grounds up. Right? So it makes a lot of difference there. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the role these days specifically of social media and the digital content play in promoting grassroots sports or grassroots athletes? Like, how is that shaping up?
So many of the times, social media, yes, and that's where the awareness programs have to be driven. Schools definitely have to have, of course, definitely branded schools and growing schools have their own social medias and social platforms where they could have uh, promoted programs of such initiatives that will only influence and excite the opportunity for kids to say. Or probably, I think we also have platforms where there's live stream today, right? For example, when you play cricket, there's a live stream where the parents can watch. There is, your relatives can watch, your friends can watch you playing live. So that's a new exciting experience. There are a few companies that are already doing it, where I think the visibility and the talent identification can also play a huge role through social media, right? So sometimes, when, let's say, you put it on a nationwide network like a geo platform or anything like a fan code, there are so many platforms like those. So there are millions of people watching you, right? So that has to be done from even early stage or high school level, or whenever he's trying to transit from a learning curve to a pro. So I think it's important to create that visibility using these platforms. And you never know, there might be an Indian head coach, uh, if the luck is good, he's watching you and you're playing really well, he's observing you. So, and then probably some kind of nurturing is required for him to change some skills. I'm just giving an example of cricket because we all know, we all understand cricket as a language. And then he might be identified at a very early age. And so there should be no opportunity of lost talent identification. That should never happen. And we should use powerful platforms like social media, live stream platforms, and that basically helps visibility of talent identification and also a motivation for the kid that says, I need to perform, and a lot of people are watching me. So let me give the best at it, him or her, right? So yeah.
Okay. Like, what are a few cost-effective ways to provide sports training to the underprivileged kids or you were talking about urban population or population from the villages. There are sport athletes, coming up from there also. So how can we do that?
So I think there are two interventions. One is the private companies like us, all sports fit. Then there's government, and then there is CSR. There are sponsorships. There are so many ecosystems like this that play a huge role because um, the other challenge is you can definitely deploy such solutions and programs and services and tech in the urban ecosystem, which is quite accessible, deployable, and also affordable, right? But when it comes to rural parts of India, definitely there is a challenge. But there's also solutions and platforms that you can overcome the challenge. Because for a fact, when you look at the profile of Indian athletes, they're majorly from the rural backgrounds who have won, at least in the athletes side, right? They're not from the major cities. So definitely there's a calling that says there is a natural transition of motivation, because they would have grown from where they are as a kid to a certain level of a pro by having very little resources until they get access to going to academies and training with top coaches. So there's a different set of challenges they would have foreseen. And so what is really telling us here is there is an intrinsic motivation and drive that they have to achieve. So we cannot neglect the parts of rural or the background, the sporting ecosystem that is not accessible, right? So where we want to do is we want to collaborate private companies, government agencies, government initiatives, policymakers, like I said, with sponsorships and CSRs, like the multinational companies. They all play a huge role, right? So through that collaboration is where you can start solving a larger problem like this.
There are a lot of digital platforms or apps in the sports segment. So how can the schools inculcate that and, have a learning curve and get, adopt it and pass it forward to the students? Like, how is that segment shaping up?
I think there are apps that are trying to address, but like I said, it's very academy specific or high performance training specific, not at a large scale, right? So I think we need to look at a lighter version of easy accessibility, easy understanding, not too many layers of barriers in the app driven, data driven um, application softwares. So, so we are also ensuring that we want to start digitizing and with 75 100,000 kids that's coming up. So that gives us the learning curve of where we are. So yes, it is challenging to get into schools to address and get the data because there is sensitivity but because we are already a part of schools, it gives us some kind of an advantage to talk about the merit of the accessibility that we give them and also work with their existing platforms already, right? They would have already had their own systems that they would be operating. So it's all collaborative um, that helps in the conclusive support of data.
Okay. And how is technology or the people in, in the sports domain working with the coaches or the mentors and, like how are they adaptable from the Indian context?
So it's still in the learning curve. It's fully, like I said, there are few academies and high performance training centers that are using these aggressively, and they could be just handful, like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, users, even less. I think I'm not sure. So technology has to be made uh, necessary. I feel it's like especially in the sporting ecosystem, because you can't still carry out your entire portfolio of sporting championship success with certificates and right it or there should be a platform that tells you how I was earlier, how I've improved now. And so there are so many things to look at when you say a technology platform, and it's an ocean of activities that you need to track and trace and evaluate. So that's where a lot of these interventions, like we said, right? So profiling is required, and so it's all about what are the should haves and must haves in the app that gives a basic understanding of the sporting. We call it sporting life cycle management or the sporting journey management. So maybe those are some of the areas to be looked at.
Okay. Any like, last like few advice what you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I think it was super exciting to be here, and thanks to the team and for this opportunity to voice about all sports fit. Like I said, I've been the founder CEO of the company, and it was all through a motivation of creating and impacting millions of kids with the Vision 2036. Uh, I think it's important to start sports grounds up uh, and start identifying which sport is right for what students and probably help them in the learning curve. Make sure, making sports as one of the compulsive programs, not as an alternative program, as a part of your lifestyle. It's like breathing. Play sports like breathing, like your general wellness. And I think it's important to have technology as a part of your scouting activity and also assessment activity as a part of the initiative. And so we are looking for global collaborations. It could be the NBA's baseball or the golf, ecosystem of the world, the football ecosystem of the world, any sport that we want to bring to India and want to start introducing to the kids. And yeah, that's what it is.
Thank you, Govind, for this informative session and sharing your insights with us. Your expertise and valuable perspective on this truly enhanced and understanding inspired all of us. We appreciate you taking your time to share your knowledge. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have with us Mr. Simon Markowski. He is the founder of Silzy and co-founder of Sports Leaves. He lives and breathes software innovation and sports, and he's on a mission to shake things up in the world of sports data. At Sports Leaves, they are making life easier for developers and businesses. No more waiting weeks just to get APIs access. They believe in transparency, instant access, and making top-tier sports data available at a fair price. Today, he will talk about monetizing sports data and how turning insights into revenue. We welcome you, Simon.
Okay, so firstly, I want to thank you for the invitation for this kind of event because it's our first, and we are really appreciate that we are have attended in this kind of event in sports API niche. So SportDevs is an API provider for 21 sports, which we offer also with WebSockets, multi-language feature, and non-copyrighted news. So our goal is to help the users easily to develop live score application, fantasy sports, sports books, and many other things, machine learning models, just to help them and to offer them great user path to achieve that. So we are just 1 year in this market, which is not very long, but we are fast learners, and we are getting all the knowledge we can from our competitors, from the whole market, from the user feedback, and we are looking forward to expand and scale as fast as possible, and to make our features great for our users, and also in the same case affordable. So firstly, when we are talking about our business model and our subscription model, we have like two products under the whole company SportDevs, which are Sports API and Odds 360 API. So Sports API is for the users to develop fantasy sports, live score applications, machine learning models, some analysis, which we offer like live score, like scores, results, statistics, incidents, players, teams, venues in that API, which we also have very rich documentation, which can help the users to see how they can use our API. And the other product is Odds 360 API, which it comes with a custom dashboard where the users can alert odds, can suspend odds, can modify odds, And also it's integrated automatically with an API, which if they alert or suspend someone, it will be changed in the API automatically. So it's like a monitor dashboard, which we are giving to the users that will purchase the OTS 360 API product. As I told you before, this is for 21 sports, and our subscription model. So I would tell how we went from our first version to this is like the second version of our product. So in the first version, we had 3 plans, which were entry, the middle plan, and the professional plan. The entry was, I think, 19 euros. The middle one was 39, and the biggest was 119 euros. And as we were offering to the users, and as we were in the market, we acknowledge that some of the users wanted to have more flexible subscriptions, which they want some specific leaks or specific data features or specific number of requests per day that they want to purchase. So we needed to change our subscription model, which we now offer static plans with the different data features and leaks, and also number of requests. And we offer a custom plan where the users can select leaks and can select specific data features. So, and after that, they can also select add-ons, which we offer WebSockets, multi-language, and non-copyrighted news. And yeah, that's about it. So this is like our version 2 of our product. And we are still going forward. We are still changing. We are great things coming in 1 month, because we will change our interface. We will not change the API, of course, because that will mess up the users, the developers' applications. But we will change the user interface of the dashboard of the OTS 360 dashboard, where they can monitor all the odds. And yeah, we're looking forward to improve the odds, to add more. We are going also in the space of micro betting odds, and yeah, there are great things that we are looking forward in the future. Again, not okay. Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. So how has the value of sports data specifically to the APIs changed in the past few years?
So, we are in the market 1 year. So now, specifically for our OTS 360 API, and also for the sports API product, we are looking the customers instant to subscribe and to buy the product without any customer contact information, or just to send them a query of a price, a quote of a price, or just we want to remove that process, which will allow the users to instant test the API or instant buy the subscription that they need. So in the old as we made our research in the old days, there's a big process to get the data and to get access for the API, which I need to contact the support, then to talk about one specific plan I need, and then to send them to send me a price of that plan. So it's a long process, and we are looking to remove that process. You can test our APIs for free, which we offer for the sports API, 300 requests per day for free. And for the API, we still not have a free tier, but we are looking in this month to give access for free, which we will see how we can limit that access. I think it will maybe be like some couple of days to test with unlimited features, and then you'll not have access. You will need to buy the subscription. So yeah, our goal is to remove the process of long process of support, of approval, of discussions, of the price and everything, which with one click they can buy the subscription.
Okay.
And
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
And also another thing that is I think great is that with the newest models that is appearing in the market, like you can see OpenAI is an, I think, great model for some machine learning stuff, and also DeepSeek now have released cheaper model. So there's a great opportunity for us and also for other people that are developing some analysis or some models or some odds for sports, and it's a great opportunity to use them as models.
Okay. So what are few lucrative ways, sports organizations or tech companies are monetizing the data today?
So we are having customers which they subscribe from our platform and using our API. For sports API, they are mostly using to make live score applications for now. And for the sports, for Odds 360 API, we are now in connections with many sports books that, and also sportsbook that are now releasing and launching, which we are in contact, in constant connection to improve our odds and also to see how we can adapt our API with their platform. And yeah, we are just the best way to improve is to make connections, to start practical, not just theoretically, and to see what are their problems and how we can solve them with our APIs. So that's what we are doing now, specifically for Odds 360 API, because this is a product that launched with the version 2, which version 2 released a month ago. So we are just focusing now on how we can improve, what other endpoints we should add to help the sportsbook create a great product.
Okay. So can you share one or two case studies where specific data-driven insights directly led to revenue growth in the sports?
So for now, for the sports API, there are a lot of people that are developing. As I told you, we are just 1 year in the market, and the first couple of months was just we released the dashboard and the API, but we needed many stuff to change and to fix. So now we are seeing, and we are very happy that we are looking some developers to make some applications and websites. And also our next part is just to make connection with them to see what because to develop a website you will need like 2 months, 3 months with our API, and to make a great product. So we have a lot of developers that are still developing their products and their websites, applications with our API. And for Odds 360 API, as I told you, we have some other companies that are launching. I still cannot think. I don't think I can say specific companies, but they are in the launching mode and they are developing their application with our API. So that's about it.
Okay. So what role does, API play in making sports data accessible, and how can in future it can be monetizable also?
So, as I told you, the data is we're looking for rich data to have many data endpoints, and also the data to be accurate. We needed to have accurate results, statistics, and also to be fast. Just for scores, we have 1 second delay. And for other things, I think it's maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So we are looking in many ways to improve. For the ways to monetize, for now, we have two ways to monetize. The first one is through our website, sportapps.com, which they can subscribe, and they can pay through Stripe, and they can have the plan for monthly with a monthly subscription. And the second way is through Rapid API, which is a marketplace for APIs. And we have all the 21 sports as a different product in that marketplace. So these are the two ways for now that we are just making our monetization. And in the future, we are looking forward to have partnerships and so other custom connections that can improve our company and also improve the way we are offering the subscriptions through our customers.
Okay. So like what are the key considerations like you keep in mind over the past 1 year while packaging sports data as a product?
What are the key can you
Key considerations, like, what are the key things you keep in mind?
Sure. So our key things that we are looking to improve constantly are the data, the documentation, and the accuracy and the speed. So these are the I think 4 things that we are looking constantly to update and to improve, because that's why the customers will buy from us, because we are offering the most accurate data. The speed is great, and we are also looking forward to add many features to the O360 dashboard and also to the default dashboard. But our main focus is the data, the documentation to improve. Every time the customers send some question on our support site, so that's our main things that we are looking in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can this data be leveraged, to enhance fan engagement?
So many developers are using this, as I told before, many developers are using this data to develop fantasy apps, live score applications, to make machine learning models, GPTs, and also. So we are looking in many ways to make the API format accessible and great fit for their applications. So yeah, that's how we are looking to improve the fan needs and the customer needs.
Okay. So what are the biggest challenges over the period you have faced as an organization into commercialization, and what suggestions would you give other API emerging companies or coming in the market? Like, what are the things?
So the biggest thing that we have learned in the first launching, it was that we should focus mostly on our data and on our core value as a product. We should not be focused on some design things or other things, because the biggest thing for our customers is the data, the documentation. The data is the speed, the data is what endpoints do we offer, how accurate the data is. So that was our biggest issue. We needed also to make because we have 21 sports, and to write the documentation for 21 sports, it's a big thing for us, and we needed to make then the documentation dynamically with our data, just to write that amount of data. So there's a lot of things. Maybe I don't remember all the things, but what we had problems during the and other things that I remember now. It's also we had a lot of problems with the support, which every question is a technical question. It's not like you offering like a SaaS product, which can just the question would be, okay, my campaigns is not working, or I cannot press that button or something else. So this is like a technical questions that are similar to the data. It's we don't have the data for that leak, or the data is not accurate, or we needed faster speed, or and it's a lot of technical questions which required from our side to have support as a technical people. And that's also a big problem that we are looking forward to constantly to improve and to make instant answers for our users.
Okay. So with AI and predictive analysis advancing today, how do you see the future of monetization into the sports API segment?
With AI,
AI and the predictive analytics, which is coming and growing in the market.
So as I told, the point is that we have a lot of models now. We have already made models which can integrate with our data. They can train and make great analytics that we can give to our users. And we see that also maybe last year the OpenAI had very expensive models, so like GPT-4 was really expensive. But now we can see that the models are becoming better and more affordable, and it's a great period of time to use them and to make something great. So we're looking to improve our data, because when you have the data, okay, you have the data, but you can do many things, like predictive things that can help the users be more interested in the sports, or to make better analysis or everything with this kind of model. So there's a great opportunity with them.
Okay. So, like, as you're saying, there's a great opportunity. What is the increasing data privacy regulations, or how should sports organizations balance between data privacy and the fans or athletes or the coaches?
So for the data privacy of for our product, if someone is signed up, we are making the complete regulations of our privacy, of the user's privacy, that are buying subscription, are signing up, and everything. For the data, we have clear terms of service that we provide to our users. They can use our data, and how they can use it, and also which is copyrighted and which is non-copyrighted, and which the ownership of the specific data is for the players or the teams or everything. So there's a clear terms of service that every user needs to read and to see just how he can use the data in fair
Okay.
use.
Okay. So like as you were saying, there are 21 sports. Like, Sport Devs is working for 21 sports. So like how do the traditional sports, how are they adapting to it like the other industries? Is it easy from the coach, from the athlete's perspective, or is it difficult to enter the market taking a
Uh,
solution?
so I don't understand the question.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Like, as you are taking a solution to the coaches, to the athletes, to stadiums, to any other markets, into different 21 sports which you are working with. So, are they open to the change, or are they adapting it easily?
Yeah. So for now, our mostly customers were people that are finding us on web, on internet, which they Google and they can see our product and they subscribe to it. For now, we still don't have a customers like coaches or teams, but we're looking forward, mostly also in our country, where we are located, to have partnerships with some of the teams which we can help them with their tactics or their lineups or everything that they need. So we are looking forward working with them. Still, we don't have any partnership with some team or specific coaches, but we are looking forward.
Okay. A final question is like, what is the global trend in the API market, and what is going to, happen? What do you foresee in the coming 2, 3 years?
So, as we know, mostly in previous period of time was the biggest trend was micro betting odds, which they are like fast instant odds for specific actions of the players or the teams, and that specific odds are improving all the time. Also, mostly we are seeing many GPTs created by for sports, just to ask them a question and he can answer about a specific player, or maybe some predictive things like will Cristiano Ronaldo score a goal in the next match, and the GPT can just answer it, what does he think, and with what percentage. So yeah, I think micro betting is a great focus. Also GPTs are great focus models, and also there are many deep niche things like statistics, like tactics for teams, and many other things that we are looking forward to improve. Also, we can see that esports industry is increasing with their many games, with their games and so on. So we are also looking opportunities in the esports industry, and yeah, because you know that football, basketball, cricket, rugby, tennis, they are traditional sports, and they have their growing path. But for esports, it's a bigger growth, which the games are increasing, evolving, and so on. And we are looking to catch the wave and to go with it.
Okay. Like any parting words or any remarks you would like to share with the audience?
So I will just share with you the link, they can use our platform. We have a free plan with 300 requests per day. Yeah, they can develop easily websites, fantasy sports. Our focus also will be to add free trial for the Odds 360 API. And if we are catching up, we'll send you maybe a link or promotional codes that will give you access for it. But for now, I think as a fanatic of sports, just develop website, develop sports, just also exercise, and these are the biggest remarks from me. Yeah.
Thank you, Simon, for this informative session and sharing your insights with us.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your expertise and your valuable perspectives on the topic were truly enhanced, and it has encouraged all the audience listening to us, and it has inspired many. We appreciate you taking your time out and sharing knowledge once again.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Also,
Good evening, everyone. So, as we wrap our 2 day conference on Global Sports API, I want to take a moment and reflect on what an incredible journey it has been. So, together we have imagined, or I'll say reimagined, the sports technology. We have uncovered the power of sports APIs and innovation with the help of AI. So this event always have been a difficult thing बीजा करता है. Good evening, everyone. So this is your host Arpan Desai, and I want to thank every one of you for being part of this conference. This has been a 2 days journey of learning, unlearning, and relearning some of the concepts in sports, sports APIs, and sports business. I want to reflect that in last 2 days, what has been my knowledge on how sports API functions to what I know right now is completely different. And thanks to all the participants, like thanks to your amazing questions from listeners, and thanks to amazing sessions by speakers, the participation has been amazing. So I want to thank to each and every one of you, attendees, speakers, and thank you for bringing your energy, your questions, and your ideas. Your enthusiasm has turned this virtual conference into a virtual community or a very vibrant community. And I'm pretty sure together we are shaping the future of sports technology. I must say, this is just the beginning. This is our first ever conference on sports API. So, this is just the beginning. We have some more exciting sessions lined up for next year. We have some new themes. As an example, API security or sports data security is definitely in the line. Also want to apologize to a few of the people we could not who we could not accommodate in our conference. And we are extremely sorry. We know how valuable you are, but due to time constraint and the slots constraint, we could not fit all of you. So I invite you all to become part of our Sports Pod Talks or Sports First podcast series if you felt missing out on this conference. Now coming back to conference. What an amazing sessions by each one of you. I want to start with Daryl from Swexa first. Daryl and Benji from Profluence, they have delivered amazing sessions. I want to thank Robert from Short Quality. Your enthusiasm was very mesmerizing. Thank you, Dror, for giving us insights how you think about sports business. Uh, Amazing conversations by Dr. Patil, and he provided us insights about how universities and academias are thinking about it. Clive, I thank you for providing some insights on golf. Uh, One of my favorite session was by Jim and Nishan. It was about AI and what are the possibilities with AI. Thank you, Dr. Nikam, for providing sports research related opportunities and what all things we can do in sports research. Uh, Thank you, Andrew, who has joined from Australia, and Abhishek, who runs the largest cricketing platform of athletes, cricket playing athletes, for providing us great insights about how you guys view sports APIs. Thank you, Aishwarya, for providing a perspective from a publishers. So thank you, Aishwarya, for providing how Disney thinks about sports. I also want to thank Govind for providing your vision on grassroots sports. Uh, Thank you, Simon, for how we can monetize different sports related data. And I also want to thank our team at Sports First. So organizing any sort of conference takes a lot of energy, lot of adrenaline, and a lot of patience too. So it's been a effort of last 7 to 8 weeks. Team has worked tirelessly with your schedule, ensuring you get the best experience of a virtual event. Thank you very much, Sports First team, for making this happen. And we'll see you again in next version of uh, Global Sports API conference. With that, again requesting you to stay in touch. You can join us. You can visit our website, join our newsletter. You can contribute on Sports First podcast. We also will come up with new ideas or new themes where we can create this community meetups. Thank you very much and see you again.
Thank you, Arpan, so much for the wonderful. As we approach at the end of Global Sports API Conference 2025, let's take a moment and reflect to the powerful insights and learnings we have gained in the past 2 days. From what are APIs to the trends in APIs, from the research to the partnerships and performances, it has been an incredible journey. A massive thank you to all the speakers and the panel members for making this conference a grand success. And of course, to all the participants and the audience who have joined us virtually from across the globe. Let's continue the conversation beyond the conference, stay connected, explore collaborations, and keep driving innovations. We look forward to meet you all in the next year's edition of Global Sports API Conference 2026. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring. Thank you.